Can't get the meds you want? You're not crazy. The system is. Insurance companies block access, pharmacies say no, and you pay the price. That is why I recommend All Family Pharmacy, a family-owned business that believes in medical freedom. They give you access to more than 200 trusted meds like ivermectin, antibiotics, and even your daily prescriptions. Please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. On this Wednesday, after President Trump meets with bad Vlad Putin next Friday in Alaska, he needs some downtime. Even if you don't approve of Mr. Trump, the guy is the hardest working chief executive in modern history. Joe Biden would collapse just looking at Trump's schedule. The Go-Go's are imploring Mr. Trump to vacation. It's all they ever wanted. Madonna, too, warbling that a holiday would be so nice. Outside of golf, Donald Trump doesn't have many hobbies. And because he's a controversial guy, some vacation spots are off limits. Can't go to Switzerland, having just imposed an 800% tariff on chocolate or something. However, an executive leisure window may be opening if President Trump and evil Vlad rekindle whatever mysterious rapport they once had. Putin's enormous Dakar on the Black Sea could beckon. Perhaps Donald Trump might consider the Canadian Maritimes. Very nice up there. The president could try it out before we take it over. Jack Nicholson said it best in The Shining. All work and no play make Jack a dull boy. Director Stanley Kubrick was fooling around with an old English proverb, but the sentiment remains true. So, Mr. President, I hope you take a break. Scotland worked out well. You also have a place in Ireland, Doonbeg. There, the wind will usually be at your back. Back after this. Homeowners, when is the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are targeting your equity with just a single forged document they file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, today and Thursday, really not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Let's be ready for that. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low of 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and maybe even a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high on Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shavers.
Coffee? Check. Partisan hack talking points? Nope, not here. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalkSTL.
Sometimes pro sports just can't seem to help themselves. For some reason, they think going woke is going to win back an audience that they ran off years ago. Well, at least one team in the NFL is going woke in a spectacularly stupid fashion. We'll talk about that just a little bit later on. And if you have not checked out our video stream yet, you want to be trying that today, because we'll put up the imagery and the video of this. It's really, really remarkably dumb. Hey, good morning. Mike Ferguson here. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Wednesday. A lot of talk about tax relief, especially on the Show Me State. On the Illinois side, all they can really talk about is how much to raise your taxes. But there's a lot of bloviating over tax relief in Missouri. What can we actually realistically expect to happen for taxpayers? We were joined by Camellia Peterson from our friends at Americans for Prosperity on Tuesday, and here's her assessment.
Let me start with, I'm sure you saw, this on Missouri Net and some of the other outlets, that the Missouri State Tax Commission is basically demanding that local elected officials, and most assessors are elected around the state, demanding that they increase valuations of property, saying it's got to be in this particular range, up to 100% of the 110% of the actual value. And the purpose of this, clearly, Camellia, is you need to be charging people more in property taxes on this. And so most of the assessors have kind of rolled over because they're being threatened with, we're going to withhold your state reimbursements on this, that, and the other thing on this. So we've essentially got, in addition to the actual tax policy debate, we now have some bureaucrats versus local governments kind of falling into place here as well, which shows that this isn't just a wonky policy thing. We've got some pretty high stakes that we've got to deal with in the next session or so.
Yes, and I will tell you that this is probably close to the number one, if not the number one thing that I hear about as I'm in different places around the state. We've been at the state fair since Thursday, and so we have a booth there, so come out and see us if anybody's out at the fair. But I've had people talk to me about it there because obviously we're talking about the different tax policy reforms that need to be done, and property tax is super high on people's, minds and their priorities right now because of, we've had inflation that's been contributing to those, the values on homes, and it's artificially inflated, right? So it's pricing people out of their homes, and everybody is desperate for something to do about this. And the question is what? Because what a lot of people don't understand is to lower the property tax rate is very hard to change at the state level because it is a locally voted on and assessed tax. And so that is it's a local control issue. However, what you're talking about is really the root of the problem here, and it's the State Tax Commission. This is an administrative state problem. And so you're right, they've been making these demands, and it baffles me as to the motivation for this. But they've been making these demands that, assessors meet that, 90 to 110% range value assessment. And you're right. Whenever they sent out these memorandums of understanding, and if the county clerks refused to sign off on them, they said, okay, we're not sending you this money. And we're not talking about just a little bit of money. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars, which to a lot of counties makes a big difference. And so there are a handful of counties, including my county clerk here in Newton County, who have refused to sign off on that. And they don't want to raise taxes on people. And so this is a real problem. So coming up on the legislative session, I know there are a lot of ideas floating around. There's some very good ideas floating around with how to rein in the State Tax Commission and really do some institutional changes that make better the process and how we do that, and put it back in the hands of the local counties, which is where it should be, because they know their area and their people best.
Okay, so I know I want to get into the reforms of what would be the right way to do it, but just a quick follow-up. You mentioned that the property taxes, almost all of them are local, absolutely 100%. What is possibly the motivation? I mean, why would the State Tax Commission want to do the heavy-handed top-down thing when these are generally local taxes?
Well, I think this is the most mystifying thing of all, right? And, I saw a little blurb somewhere the other day where, one of the commissioners was talking about how that, their hands were tied and they were just trying to meet, whatever they were bound to do by statute or whatever. And I don't know, if that is an issue, that's even more reason for why we need to rectify that problem so that they don't have, because, I don't think that they have to do this. It is a choice. And so, and there's a lot of debate about whether or not them overriding the local county officials, whether or not that's even legal. It's a very gray area. I know that Representative Dirk Deaton has talked a lot about that, whether or not they're even within their rights to do this. So I think that that's a big question right now. But yeah, the why is just baffling. Why would anybody want to force the issue when people are already paying so much in taxes and, the grocery prices are still high, right? I mean, nobody needs to pay more for their home. And, especially when you're talking about, there's some places where, the senior citizens, we had the property tax freeze, but that's not helping everyone, right? I mean, so there's people are very, potentially losing their homes. Some people have lost their homes over this issue.
Good morning, Camellia. Gabe here. So just going back to basics on this, maybe it's because of my Doge mindedness. It's like, what exactly do you do here, state commission, tax commission? Because what I don't know who these people are, what their job is, and if we actually need them. So could you help us understand that a little bit?
Right. So the state tax commission, I believe there's, 3 of them, and they are nominated by the governor, a governor. These are not necessarily nominated by Governor Kehoe. But basically, yeah, their job is to oversee, the different, taxing entities in the state. And I think the real question that's come up here is how much power do they actually have to dictate what happens with tax collection in local entities? And I don't think anybody's really paid attention to that before. Mm-hmm. Because this has, we're kind of just now facing this in the last few years where, all of a sudden everybody's attention is on this. And so they're under the microscope. I will say that there has been a lot of talk, when you talk about what is the fix for this, there's been a lot of talk about, changing the role of the state tax commission itself. And perhaps we do still need an entity like that because let's be real, like local control can also be local tyranny. We have seen this in, for example, Jackson County, where they're trying to get rid of their county executive because of this issue. But, it is there. So maybe you do need an entity that if your local government at the county level is failing you and, being tyrannical about something that you can appeal, like egregious tax increases or whatever. So some other stuff that you can go to, but their role should just be very, very limited. And I don't think anybody really kind of understood in the general public just how much power they had until now.
So in their perfect form, they would really just be a very lightly staffed compliance department, like essentially a referee for the state oversight to make sure that these local entities are adhering to state law, essentially, and an advocacy group for taxpayers.
We're visiting with Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity. Okay, so last couple minutes we've got, let's talk about, for instance, Senator Tony Lukemeyer said, hey, we may have to legislatively rein them in, as you just mentioned as well. And of course, what you just described could very well be what the answer is. But when it comes to reforming on taxes, because this is something us nerds and wonks and news junkies, we all talked about over the year. But now, as you pointed out, this is getting very real for a lot of people, including people in danger of or actually losing their homes over taxes. And obviously, other taxes are making life just more expensive as well. What is the smart way to reduce the tax burden on Missourians as we head into the 2026 legislative session? Because you can do it right, or you can do it wrong and pay the price for that. But what's the right way to reduce that tax burden, knowing that the trade-off is we're giving up some levels of government somewhere? To me, that's a good thing, but that might scare other people.
Right. So, there's a lot of discussion about what we should do, right? And so I think that, the push for 2026, honestly, in addition to addressing these issues, rightfully so, on the administration side of the property tax issue, is also going to be to eliminate the income tax. And that is, a lot of people feel like that we should eliminate property tax before that, but it is a much heavier lift. And also, the income tax is just much more destructive because people just don't feel it as much because they don't have to pay that bill every year. I know we've talked about that a lot. But that is one of the most beneficial things that we need to do. And that means that we, for revenue, we move to more of a consumption tax. So a sales tax where you have a choice in how much you spend and how much you bring in. But there's state after state that's shown that growth comes from that. People want to move into a state that has no income tax. And so I think that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I think that we can address the income tax issue. And I also think that along with that income tax elimination, in the legislation that's been proposed for that previously, and I'm sure it will be again, it also includes a cap on government spending, because we absolutely cannot do anything on this without capping spending. So, I think that it's frustrating because things don't happen overnight, but I would like for people to know that there are, even when you don't see it, there are a lot of really good things that are being pushed and done, and the governor is on board with this. And kind of the biggest debate is always how we get there. I feel pretty confident that we are going to get there, and I think that we can address both of these issues. And one more thing, too, on the property tax issue that I would say is keep an eye on things that will come out from Senator Curtis Trent, too. I've talked with him. He has some fantastic ideas for really addressing these issues in a meaningful way. And it will require the voters to vote on some of these things at the ballot, but closing loopholes for some of these taxing entities. And, also there's just all kinds of things like fixing this thing that happened during special session where some people get 5%, some people get 0. Like, I don't know, like fixing all of that stuff too. But there are really good ideas that are coming out there. And I think we're going to see some substantive change, but we're going to be hurting in between now and then because it takes time.
All right, as always, the number to get involved here, 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The news and talk
our local police department will not ever cooperate with ICE.
That matters to St. Louis.
More files in the Russia collusion hoax are expected to be released.
This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Jamie Allman here with the Allman Report. Pleased to be with Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. That's what it's all about. Jordan, tell me about purchasing a home, brother.
Purchasing a home right now, it's a tough market. You're going to see a lot of competition. On the bagel loan that we have, you're going to have no closing costs, no title fees, no appraisal fees, no lender fees. Saves an average client almost $4,000 on a transaction. Customer service, unbelievable. Text, call anytime.
As I know, as a real estate agent, Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, folks.
NMLS number 226715.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, one thing about football. Did you play football when you were in school?
Yes, sir. I was a lineman.
Okay, yeah. I only played up through junior high, and then I had to choose between baseball and football. And obviously, took the fall baseball workouts. So I played for a little bit. I was a running back.
Oh,
yeah. So basically, every sport I do, I'm the guy who gets hit. I'm the catcher. I was the running back. I was the goalie when I played soccer. So I'm the guy that you hit for some reason. I don't know. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this. One thing about football is it used to be one of those places, where men's and women's roles were very clearly defined and were very, very old school.
Yes.
Not so much anymore.
They have female running backs now?
Well, well, there's a female football league now, believe it or not. So that's out there. Now it's a place of wokeness, and you're a bigot if you don't like it.
Oh.
So basically, believe it or not, the first cheerleaders in this country, going back, I guess it'd be to the very early 1900s, were guys who just had big megaphones, and they were like, okay, guys, cheer for the, and it was not dance. It was like, stay engaged. That's where the word varsity came from, and so then it became the dances and the chants and all that sort of stuff. And then it became basically strippers on the sidelines.
Yeah.
And so now it's gay guys gyrating like girls.
Oh,
yeah. The look on your face. I wish everybody could see that, because that's so the correct response.
I mean, like, it's not like a demoralization tactic for the other team, right? It's not like, hey, we're going to heckle you and taunt you.
No,
this is seriously guys doing authentic cheerleading routines.
Right. The Minnesota Vikings, and this is kind of going everywhere. Now, they're not the first team to have some gay guys as cheerleaders. There's like 5 or 6 other teams that do this. And it's not like when you go to the college games where you got basically the strong guy whose job is to hold the cute cheerleader up above his head. I mean, that's his job.
Yeah.
Basically throw her up in the air, catch her so they can do their stunts. The college cheerleaders, are very athletic.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL cheerleaders, the NBA, I mean, they're basically there to be sexy. That's their job. I mean, let's be really, really honest. That's their job.
If this didn't work out, they'd be at Hooters. Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. So, which, you know what? Hey, good for them. So the Minnesota Twins have added these 2 guys. They've displaced a couple of women off their cheerleading dance team and added these guys. And they're not there to be the ones to hold them up in the stunts. They're gyrating and dancing every bit as feminine as the girls. And the video has kind of gone over social media like crazy. And it's funny because the left is like, your masculinity is insecure if you don't like this. This is, you're a bigot. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, this is one of the reasons I gave up on the NFL. I used to be like a crazy devoted Pittsburgh Steelers football fan. And I love football, love the NFL, and I gave up on them during the whole Black Lives Matter, hands up, don't shoot, national anthem protest. They just kept on it. I finally said, you know what? I don't need it. And I walked away, and guess what? I don't need it. I got the Battlehawks now. I'm glad to have them. I stopped watching the NFL years ago. And so this comes up, and essentially what you see is that the NFL has spit in the face of their fan base. Or at least demanded that they become essentially more feminine. I don't know what you could possibly be thinking in a football industry and say, you know what the fans really want? They want a couple of flamboyant gay guys gyrating on the sidelines, trying to be sexy for the fans.
The CTE epidemic must be much worse than we thought because for whoever made that decision, because absolutely. I don't think that there's ever been a time where I've been watching what's going on in the field saying, you know what, I wish men had more representation with the backflips and the pom-poms and whatever else goes on.
Yeah. What we really want is the dudes twerking on the sides.
Oh no.
And it's funny because what's popped up in some of the coverage, there's an entire website that's devoted to pro LGBT stuff in sports. And I didn't know that till today. Matter of fact, I put one of the link in the show sheets that I send you guys. And it said, why is this a big deal? Look at all these other teams who have a guy on the cheerleading team. And they show a picture of all of them, and one of them, stereotypically San Francisco's there. And the funny part is that you look at all the pictures, it is basically out of a Miami gay club, picture. Every single one of the guys is feminine, scrawny, petite, posing like a girl. And I'm thinking, NFL, this is how you plan to win back those fans that you've lost? The NFL is still the biggest thing in sports in the United States, without a doubt. But they've lost a lot of their credibility. And what they've lost, it's like the Bud Light effect. They've decided to go woke and people have walked away. I don't know that there would be a market for the UFL if the NFL had not done what it's done. The UFL is priming itself to be a feeder league, and the UFL rather has made it very, very clear. We're just about football. We're not taking stands on any of the social stuff, any of the political stuff. We're just doing football. They don't even have cheerleaders. That's the right approach. Just play the game.
Is your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer. Let's party!
Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888 to learn more about our special $67 offer.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Ahead of his Friday meeting with Russian President Putin in Alaska, today President Trump takes part in video calls with European leaders and Ukrainian President Zelensky. Some of the Europeans argue that Zelensky should be included in the Trump-Putin sit-down on Friday.
The president is agreeing to this meeting at the request of President Putin. And the goal of this meeting for the president is to walk away with a better understanding of how we can end this war.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. Taking a big bite out of crime, hundreds of National Guardsmen at President Trump's direction have been deployed to the streets of Washington, D.C. The city's police force has been temporarily federalized.
Presidential spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt says the officers made a total of 23 arrests following Donald Trump's federal takeover of the D.C. Police Department and activation of the National Guard.
A total of 6 illegal handguns were seized off of District of Columbia streets.
The president has declared a public safety emergency in the District of Columbia, even though police data show a decline in violent crime. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Newly released Gallup numbers do not bode well for the Democrat Party. Just 34% of respondents hold a positive view of the party. Its poorest performance since Gallup began tracking this more than 3 decades ago. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is hinting that ceasefire efforts are now focusing on a comprehensive deal, one that would release the remaining hostages in Gaza all at once instead of a staged release. The sea of red ink continues to grow. The national debt has surpassed a dizzying $37 trillion, according to the Treasury Department. Stock futures higher this morning on Wall Street. Dow futures are up 138 points, and NASDAQ futures ahead 54 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grewach, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, today and Thursday, really not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Let's be ready for that. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low of 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and maybe even a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high on Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Schaefer.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com. Brian and his team, they're just amazing people. They're so proud of their operation. Pride in every installation. You can see that in the Google reviews. Pride in the great quality, pride in the great pricing, pride in the great variety, and pride in the fact that you can go into the store right off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or the store will come to you. That's the promise of O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
Let's talk turf. Let's talk lawns. Let's talk about Hydrodynamics Core can help with both. Tim Jones here for Hydrodynamics Core, a St. Louis family-owned and operated company since 1973, which will help you have what every homeowner wants: lush green grass, thriving plants and shrubs, with their annual 6-step process of weed prevention and fertilizations that you should sign up for today. The Hydrodynamics Turf Plan will deliver a beautiful lawn you and your family will absolutely love. Get started now by visiting hydrodynamicscore.com. That's hydrodynamicscore.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Producer Joey B here. Tim and Chris are broadcasting from Israel. Find out what it's like having the CEO of Newsmax as your tour guide through the Holy Land.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Are you being intentionally dense?
Oh. Gabe Phifer.
It would take a computerized Vulcan mind such as yours to make that kind of a statement.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm.
Get up, St. Louis.
This job can be done by a monkey with a bottle of Motrin.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin God.
All right, a Missouri court adds another layer to the fight over life and abortion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a little bit complicated, but we got to keep up on it because this is too important of a fight. Also, there is another possible scam out there, and the county officials say it's targeting people trying to use the property tax freeze program. And this is basically in St. Louis County. We just told you yesterday about, hey, if you hear from the county, it's not a scam.
Yeah, via email.
Right. Now the county is saying, by the way, if you used one of these websites to get your property tax freeze stuff, you may have been scammed. And so we'll tell you about that here as well. And the Cardinals, they forgot to, what did they forget to do? Oh, they forgot to score runs yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, 6:06 right now. Let's go and dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
The Missouri Supreme Court rules against Attorney General Andrew Bailey and for Planned Parenthood. But this does not end the case, though, so don't get too discouraged there. The case involves Bailey's challenge to a Jackson County Court's injunction against pro-life laws in the state. See how complicated this is getting?
Yeah.
So essentially what happened here, Planned Parenthood sued to get the laws and medical standards struck down after the old Amendment 3 passed.
Right, because we exactly like we told you,
right.
It would invalidate all pro-life laws, including the ones that were designed specifically to keep women safe in these sorts of clinics. So they don't want any sort of standards, they don't want any inspections, they don't want any of that stuff. The entire facade, they said they want to tear it down.
Yeah, so Planned Parenthood sues to get all those saying, hey, this is the amendment. You got to strike down these laws. A Jackson County court judge says, yep, put an injunction on all those laws being enforced. The Attorney General is challenging that, and the court has now assigned the case to an appeals court. So they did not rule on who's right or who's wrong specifically, but they've sent it back to another layer of the court. So right around 7:35, we're going to talk to Ed Grewach from Missouri Right to Life. He's their lawyer, their senior counsel. We'll get the update. But the bottom line is we need to be telling everybody about the new Amendment 3 coming next year and why we need to pass this one in order to replace the old Amendment 3. Okay, President Donald Trump's recent action sparking debate over the Posse Comitatus Act. That is a law from 1878 that limits military involvement in domestic affairs. And of course, we're talking about what's happening in Washington, D.C. Here's the story.
On Tuesday, about 800 National Guard troops arrived in Washington, D.C. after President Trump declared that they were needed to reduce crime in the district. Meanwhile, a California judge is reviewing whether Mr. Trump's federalization of Guard personnel in Los Angeles during immigration protests violated this law. The Posse Comitatus Act prevents the military from enforcing domestic laws unless bypassed in Congress or under the Insurrection Act. Experts say the law's enforcement has clear limitations and remains largely untested. Posse Comitatus can be bypassed by congressional vote or in order to defend the Constitution. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Okay, so I am very, very thankful that we have this law into place to limit this. We do not want to become a military state society. So where's the balance between, okay, when you bring in military to maintain or restore order, but you don't want it to be the police. You do not want your military to be the police.
Right. And you don't want your police to be the military either.
Correct. Exactly. Yeah. So is President Trump threading that needle appropriately in Washington, D.C.?
It's a good question.
Right.
I'm not sure because there are so many reports and there are so many sort of false narratives kind of being written on top of all of it that it's really difficult to sort of to properly gauge it right now.
I think that so far, just in the first couple of days, I think he's stayed in the lane properly.
Okay.
On this. But you need to make sure that it stays there. And so is a lot of this probably, just kind of a show of force and show of I'm taking over and another, maybe. But so far, because it is a federal territory, if he tried to do this in New York or St. Louis or something, I think he'd be way out of line.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's doing it in Washington, D.C., I think is within the lane, and I think it's appropriate.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the thing is, Washington, D.C. was specifically kind of set aside as a federally controlled area of the country.
Now, whether it was needed or not remains to be seen. That's a debate. But as I said yesterday, I think he's well within his legal ability to do it. I think he is constitutional in doing it, and then we can debate whether it's a good or bad idea.
Yeah, and as to the need for it, I think there's probably something going on out there in D.C. similar to what was going on in St. Louis, where they were cooking the books a little bit to try and make it appear as though crime was falling. It's like, hey, crime is falling. I don't know why everybody's crying, but all of the citizens are looking at each other like, oh heck no, that's not true. Because when they measured sentiment of DC residents, they were like, crime falling. Who said? What idiot told you that?
Yeah. So, but that's going to be fascinating to watch. Not even because I'm not worried about what's happening in Washington, D.C., but because it sets a precedent for other areas.
Exactly.
So we need to remember there are separate rules for Washington, D.C. Constitutionally. So what happens there does not necessarily mean it could happen here.
Right.
Okay. St. Louis County officials are now warning seniors about what could be an online scam. They say that if you used websites PropertyRec.com or PropertyRex.com, check your bank statement. Okay.
Oh boy.
So those sites promoted a property report, basically accessing the deed to your property for $1. That could be used basically saying for $1, we'll get you the information that you need to go apply for your property tax freeze.
Geez.
Okay. So multiple reports now say the website business is charging people $30 a month in subscription fees because you paid for the dollar, but what
Yeah.
you actually did was sign up for $30 a month in subscription fees.
Oh my gosh, I hate these things.
So the county is asking the attorney general to look into the company. So if you used one of those, one, you may or may not have gotten the information you needed anyway. But secondly, check your bank statement because you may have inadvertently signed up for them to charge you $30 a month for the rest of your life.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that we always and constantly have to deal with the scammers coming through to try and take advantage of our our grandmas and grandpas out here just trying to make it in the world.
Right.
Gosh,
Exactly.
these people.
Okay, President Trump's pick to lead the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which, by the way, EJ and Tony, he's been on this show. We've interviewed EJ before. I've talked to him a few times. His pick to lead the BLS has suggested basically changing and not doing monthly jobs reports anymore. This is interesting. Here's what's going on.
After last month's dismal jobs numbers, the president fired the head of the BLS and has nominated Heritage Foundation economist E.J. Antoni. Earlier this month, Antoni told Fox News that job reports should be issued quarterly instead of monthly. At the White House, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the hope and the plan is to continue publishing monthly reports. Greg Clugston, Washington.
You know, they revise those things so much after the fact anyway that I guess they're helpful as far as the bigger picture, but I think that they should continue to try to give accurate reports monthly. But I kind of get the quarterly thing. I just worry that there's bigger swings in the market if you wait for a quarterly report as opposed to monthly reports.
Right.
But it's also one of those things that it doesn't change my life either way as long as I have a job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not directly. I mean, the swings in the market obviously affect us if we're invested in the market. But yeah, I mean, I think you make a good point that as we've seen with, like, let's say the quarterly earnings reports that come from the really big corporations, those tend to have an outsized effect on the market immediately around the time period of reporting, right? So in the same way, I suppose we'd end up with those sort of things related to the job numbers. But because of the constant reevaluation of the jobs numbers, and basically you have that initial hit of whatever the people reporting the numbers want to happen, and then you have the revision later that nobody pays attention to.
Right.
Like, well, then what good is the monthly job report except for a manipulation tactic by whoever's in charge?
It's for Fox Business and CNBC to like argue about stuff.
Right. Now, if we're really concerned about just accurate numbers, they could report the numbers monthly, but they'd have to be a month delayed.
Yeah. Yes. And I don't mind that.
Right.
I would rather get accurate numbers.
Yep.
Okay. In the city, a plan to put more oversight on the sheriff is closer to being approved. The bill clarifies what the sheriff's office can and cannot do, even though that's already covered in the city's charter. The bill, which has already passed a committee as of late last week, would require regular financial reports, particularly on spending by the sheriff. Now, this is in response to several complaints about actions the current sheriff, Alfred
Loaded Dice
Montgomery, has taken. Attorney General Andrew Bailey is trying to remove him from office. Okay, the Cardinals lose to the Rockies, evening up that series at one game apiece. Final score at Busch Stadium last night, 3-0.
Ouch.
Nada.
Yeah.
Zilch.
Yeah, in my vast sports experience, my understanding is you have to score more than the other team.
Right. And to do that, you must score.
Yeah.
All right. Final game of the series is this afternoon. First pitch is at 1:15. Redbirds are in fourth place in the division, 15 games behind the division leading Milwaukee Brewers.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Mike Ferguson, Gabe Phifer. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capistrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Taste the difference that fresh local makes. Anthony's Produce supports our local farmers by bringing you the finest locally grown produce in town. From the juiciest peaches and melons to the sweetest corn and ripest tomatoes, we've got it all. Plus, discover our amazing selection of locally made jams, salsas, pickles, and fresh sourdough breads. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Saturday, 7 to 6:30, and Sundays, 8 to 5. 701 Jungerman Road in St. Peters, or visit anthonysproduce.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, and Monocle's Pizza.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's The Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We've covered this new law in Illinois that basically mandates, I'm using air quotes here, mental health screenings for public school kids.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that a few times on the show because when it was proposed, we're saying, hey, guys, watch out for this. Well, they passed the law. The governor's really proud of this. And now that we're in the back to school part of the year, even though conservative media was talking about this, there's going to be a lot of families who don't know this is happening in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's somebody, especially, those of you who are listening on the east side of the river, on the Illinois side of News Talk STL land, you're sending your kids to school, your grandkids into school, or your friends and neighbors and people you go to church with and people you work with. They may not know that these kids are getting pulled one by one, or they will, for a mental health screening in Illinois.
That's so scary.
It absolutely is.
That's terrifying.
And of course, the left is trying to pitch this as it's just another part of healthcare and, mental health awareness. And, this is,
it's for the children.
It's for the children.
How can you be against it?
So Matt Walsh actually caught wind of this on his, national program and podcast and show. And he did a commentary on it using a local news report, and he never did identify where that came from. So you're going to hear a voice in there from a local media report. So here's what Matt Walsh had to say about this.
The state of Illinois is now demanding that children beginning in the 3rd grade in public school undergo annual psychiatric evaluations.
At a time when our kids are struggling with anxiety and depression more than ever before, it's our responsibility to ensure that young people have all the support that they need to get the help that they deserve.
The new law will require public schools to offer age-appropriate screenings to identify mental health concerns in students in the 3rd through 12th grades.
The point of these annual screenings is to ensure that they drug as many children as possible with psychoactive medications so that those children become loyal customers of Big Pharma for life. And of course, they'll also become profoundly unhappy people, which accounts for roughly 100% of the Democrats' voter base. So it's a win-win for politicians like J.B. Pritzker and for Big Pharma. And it's a lose-lose for you and for your children.
Okay, so I'm going to go another step further on that. Is in Illinois, they are using the public school system to advocate aggressively for far left social Marxism.
Absolutely.
Not to mention economic Marxism. And they are very big in Illinois. The Illinois state system from the top down on pro, for instance, LGBT stuff, pro, environmental stuff and all that. This is one of the areas where they can identify and even plant stuff in kids' heads about sexual, dysfunction and confusion and things like that, especially in third grade. So you've also got the place where those districts that say, we can help transition. We can.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the area where they pull that kid aside. You're in a office with a so-called mental health activist, mental health professional. And they have one-on-one chance to influence that kid. And what they're saying is it's just like a doctor's checkup.
Yeah.
We're just making sure they're not depressed or something. This is where they say, ooh, here's an opportunity to affirm. This is the area to support. This is another area where they're getting in between the child and the parent, and the school district, AKA the government, is saying we're going to become that parent. And this is one of the ways they do that.
This isn't scoliosis check.
Right.
Remember back in the day,
yeah, I do remember those.
All the kids would line up, you'd go, you'd touch your toes, and they'd run their finger along your spine to make sure that it's straight.
Oh, you're making me feel old.
Right? It's like that's what it's like. You know what? All right, that's defensible, because catching scoliosis early in children is kind of there's a benefit there. It's a non-invasive check,
and then you just told the parents, hey, go take your kid to the doctor.
Okay, take your kid to the doctor, as opposed to what they're describing now. I mean, they want to describe it in the same language as that. It's like, oh, it's just a routine thing.
Yeah.
We're just doing it for everybody's health. We want to catch these things early so we can treat them. No, when it comes to mental health stuff, it's a completely different story. Right. There's so much nuance there, and there's so much subjectiveness as to what is a disorder and what is not now, that they injected into the conversation.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely sick. I mean, first of all, and my mom has a doctorate in psychology and a master's in teaching and psychiatric stuff. So essentially, the thing to take away from this is that they said starting at third grade. First of all, that's way too young to be diagnosing anybody that is not clearly, even schizophrenia, like some of the most out there sort of things don't start to manifest until you're around the age of 15, 16. And it's then most commonly it's from 17 to 25 where you start to really see that kind of stuff. People are also misdiagnosing what would be considered a behavior,
right?
And it wouldn't even be a disorder. Sometimes it's just you don't have a lot of home discipline, or you're too caffeinated on sugar cereal or whatever.
And sometimes kids are just stupid kids.
Kids,
kids are kids.
You stick them at a desk all day, and then you expect them to sit still and behave.
Right.
I mean, that's just not how kids work. And then
Especially boys, by the way.
And they want to give these people psychiatric care. This is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah. So we've talked to Shannon Adcock from Awake, Illinois a few times. And boy, she brings quite the fan club to social media whenever she's on.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lefties come out of nowhere to get mad at us for even talking to her. But I bring her up and Awake Illinois up just for the sake that if you go to their website, look up Awake Illinois' website, they actually have the forms on their website that you can print off. Because if you don't want your kid doing this or going through this or being subjected to it, you have to take all the initiative to fill out the paperwork, take it into the school, and demand that your kid be opted out of this. If they don't hear from you, they're going to do this to your kid without your knowledge.
Right. Yeah, this should be an opt-in. I mean, if they're going to do this program, which I don't think they should
have it at all.
It shouldn't exist. But if they were going to do it, having it be an opt-in program as opposed to a program that's a generic program that you have to opt out of would be
a mandatory.
Way more,
Let's call it what it is.
Mandatory.
It's mandatory.
That's true. It's a mandatory program.
This is not the role of the schools.
This
is not the role of the government.
No.
This is a control mechanism. I mean, Matt Walsh is tying it to pharma, and there's probably some truth to what he's saying there. I was more worried about the activism side of it. But you've also got a situation here where parents need to protect your kids from the education system.
Yes, absolutely.
I understand the activism side of it. The fact that they're tying it to psychiatric, which is medical, is what concerns me, because when I was in middle school, I did know people that were on like Xanax and Adderall and other sorts of mood stabilizers when they were 11 and 12 years old. And by the time they were in high school, they were on multiples of them. And then we expect them to grow up being rational, normal people. That stuff all alters the way your brain works.
I don't think we do expect them to. I think if you get them on those things at that age, you create a permanent dependency on those things.
Absolutely.
So I don't think that. I think if you get somebody on that at that age, I think the entire point is you don't get to be a normal human being later. I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah, and not to mention the compliance aspect,
right?
Because the part of the purpose of the mood altering is to make these kids more compliant to whatever the teacher wants or whatever the power structure of the school wants. And we know what these teachers want. I mean, they've been showing it to us on TikTok forever, right? It's like they want to indoctrinate our kids. They want to get to turn them into little compliant, ready-made drones to be useful idiots out here in the streets, ready to throw a brick or an insult, at their beck and call.
And think of the way that because if we started from nothing today, and we said, let's just for fun come up with the absolute worst way to provide a mass education system, you'd come up with what we have right now.
Pretty much, yes.
This is what you would have.
Very similar to a communist country indoctrination centers. It's basically what our schools are built around.
This system, this format that we use, you group kids by location and by age. You group them in areas where you have to sit in compliance for 8 hours a day. You will all learn the same thing. You will all, that sort of thing.
Fully regimented days.
Right. And so keep in mind, this was designed in the Industrial Revolution in America.
Right.
This was designed to create obedient factory workers.
Yes.
When our country's economy was dependent on needing more factory workers, especially in the northeast part of the country.
Right.
That's where this system came from, was to condition children to be obedient worker bees.
Yes.
And obviously now there's, IEPs and there's, electives and, and they're, but the core system remains the same. You come in and then we are going to mold you like on the factory line to be an output of what the system wants you to be. And now we have a thing that basically says, oh, you're a little eccentric. You got a little too much personality. Well, we'll fix that.
We'll fix it real good.
Yeah.
But now we have a call from our friend Dave, who I think is going to make the exact point that I was going to make.
All right, Dave, you got about 60 seconds. Okay.
Good morning, JB. Try Ozempic. My point is what I'm going to make. I have a son and a daughter that both fit the criteria for going on medication. However, we had an old-fashioned doctor who left it up to us. So what we did with our son, it was through proper diet and helping him learn how to focus. Believe it or not, for someone that has ADD, Mountain Dew is the best. It has the opposite effect on someone that has ADD than it does to someone who doesn't. Someone who doesn't have it, it hypes them up. Someone with ADD, it helps correct and focus. My youngest daughter, we found out when she was 3, eating red dye turned her into the Tasmanian devil on speed. We brought this to our doctor's attention. He said he doesn't know anybody that ever died from a lack of red dye. So we took her off that. She didn't get put on any medication either. So my point being is that you have to parent your child. Don't let your doctor do it. It worked out pretty good for us. My daughter's 20 years old. Guess what she doesn't need today? Nothing artificially red dye.
All right.
Hey, that's and that, I mean, you're saying that, and I don't mean to like slip in the endorsement, but I'm thinking this is what all my friends at Nutrition Stop have been preaching for 20 years on this. Diet makes a huge difference. I've never heard the Mountain Dew thing.
So specifically with ADD and ADHD type things, they find that it's got something to do with the lack of dopamine. And when you have Mountain Dew or high sugar, high caffeinated kind of beverages, for some reason that just kicks the brain into, and that fixes something. It corrects itself. It's weird.
I've never heard.
Can I slide something, Mike? Can I slide something in real quick?
Yeah.
For what we did, because my daughter loves like a girl, she loves pink. What my wife find out that you can make pink out of is beet juice.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So what we actually did with all of our kids, and I tell you what, and I gotta go. I'm sorry, guys, but Doritos, red dye, hot dogs, red dye, yogurt, red dye. So those that are hating Trump and Mr. Kennedy for trying to make us healthy, guess what? I'm sitting on that you can kiss.
I've got my issues with RFK Jr. Don't get me wrong. But
here. Mike, you know, there's a lot of things that's put in our food.
Right.
Let's travel over to Europe, and there's things I have with them too. But we got to straighten this out because both Democrat and Republican have let this go on forever.
Yep.
Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I promise I won't call till Friday.
Talk to you later,
Hey,
Dave.
put your Flashback Friday request in too.
Yeah. Speaking of that, yes, definitely get your Flashback Friday music in. Send it to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
My opinion is it's weird.
On News Talk STL. From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, today and Thursday, really not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Let's be ready for that. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low of 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and maybe even a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high on Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor-fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
You want to be the most popular person in the office this week, because I know a lot of people getting ready to head into work. Go by Mario's Donut Restaurant and grab some donuts for your coworkers. Or you know what? Just grab a box of donuts and hide them in your desk and eat them yourself throughout the day. They are absolutely phenomenally delicious. When we have donuts here, that's from Mario's. Matter of fact, if the boss is listening, hey, Jeff, feel free to run by Mario's. Just saying. Mario's Donut Restaurant.com. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Mario's. But it's not even just the donuts, which, by the way, when you go to a place like Mario's, they are fresh. They're made that day. You can go to the convenience store and get the ones made last week if you want. And they crack and are crusty and or you can go to Mario's and get the real deal. But also grab yourself a breakfast sandwich. You don't want to load up on the sweets. They've got delicious breakfast sandwiches there. Get your coffee there. Hang out at Mario's right there in the restaurant, or obviously just take it to go. Or you know what? Go there for lunch. A lot of people forget. Go get your gyro. Go get your lunch sandwich. Go get your wrap. They've got amazing food and they cater. So that office meeting, that family coming in town, that birthday party, you're going to have a fantastic variety of stuff. You know what? Get your breakfast sandwiches, get your tiramisu, get your donuts, get your dessert. Do it all at Mario's. Go ahead and run by, first of all, mariosdonutrestaurant.com. If you want to take a look at all of their great menu, or just run by. They're on Mugie Road in St. Charles. Just put in Mario's Donuts on your GPS. It'll take you right to 2786 Mugie Road in St. Charles. They're open until 3 o'clock every Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday till 8 p.m. So get your breakfast there, get your lunch there, get your dinner there, or just get away and go grab yourself a cup of coffee. Moms, you're dropping the kids off at school. Run by Mario's, unwind, grab that cup of coffee, grab that wrap, grab that donut, meet up with the friends. Mario's is a great place to do that. Once again, mariosdonutrestaurant.com. Tell them that Mike was asking everybody to bring him one of the sprinkled donuts at work.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Are uneven concrete surfaces causing you headaches? Polytime Concrete Leveling and Restoration has the solution. We're a veteran and family-owned business offering long-lasting solutions for all your concrete problems. From precision concrete leveling to our superior restoration services, our precision polyjacking outperforms traditional mudjacking any day. Call Polytime at 636-487-3282 for a free estimate, or visit itspolytime.com. Mention NewsTalkSTL and get $125 off any job of $600 or more, or 10% off your service.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL. Enable our Alexa skill.
Hello.
Hey, Alexa.
Yes, I'm listening.
Play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
It's another one of those bands that like fans of like real old fashioned like rock and roll, of course, especially that 80s. This is one of those bands you've probably never heard of because it's some old guys from England. Band is called FM.
Oh, that's easy to remember.
FM.
All right.
That's it. That's the name of the band, FM. I found them going down a rabbit trail on YouTube once, I looked up one of my favorite bands, then suggested some others. I'm like, oh, that looks good. I checked that out, and then I found FM and love them. So they're out there. Check them out. Check them out here. Always go see the old guys rock. They're better at it. I'm just saying. All right, 637, the fight to protect life in Missouri. It gets more complicated. So I saw this first on Twitter yesterday. One of the more left-wing Democratic lawyers in the state, who's a pretty well-known activist, he was saying, Andrew Bailey lost again.
Mm-hmm.
This is showing he's got nowhere to go. Missouri's going to become pro-choice. Well, Missouri is now by state constitution is very pro-abortion.
Mm-hmm.
And so that particular well-known lawyer was misrepresenting things as he tends to do on social media.
Kind of is what it is.
But the passage of the Rowden Amendment, otherwise known as the Old Amendment 3. And by the way, here's one of the things I encourage you to start putting in your vernacular is start referring to the Old Amendment 3
and
the New Amendment 3, because we need to brand the New Amendment 3 in a very positive way, because I think we did a very good job of talking about how bad Amendment 3 was in 2024. So really refer to the Old Amendment 3. Use that. Say that. The Old Amendment 3, the Old Amendment 3, the Old Amendment 3.
That's the abortion one.
Right. That's the Rowden Amendment. That's the one that made Missouri one of the most radically pro-abortion states. And yes, I've named it after Caleb Rowden, who's now trying to rebrand himself as like the good Christian.
Oh,
leader.
is he? Yeah. He's trying to do that again?
He's trying to do that. He's writing a book on theology and stuff because he's trying to convince people that, he's really a theological leader, because he was a Christian musician and a worship pastor before he ran for office. And, I was there when he was thinking about running for office. I literally tried to talk him out of it like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And,
maybe you should have just punched him in the face.
No, he had this spike,
It's like, hey, should I run for...
The funny part is I tried to talk him out of it because he was going to run for state representative in a very deep blue district.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, you're going to give up your job and you've got nowhere to go. You can't win this race. And I said, here's what you're going to have to do. And I laid it all out.
Right.
My God, he did it.
Yeah.
And he knocked on every door twice and he won. And then he worked his way up. And now we have, because of Caleb Rowden, in large part because of Caleb Rowden, Missouri is one of the most radically pro-abortion states by our state constitution. Because the Republican got mad at the Freedom Caucus and wouldn't enact initiative petition reform.
So sick.
Right. So anyway, that's the old news. This is what we have to deal with.
Old Amendment 3.
Old Amendment 3. But refer to Old Amendment 3 so that hopefully the people you're talking to go, what do you mean the old one? Okay, there's a new one that we've got to pass to replace the old one.
Yes, and the new one's good.
Yes. And so...
as good as we can get.
As good as it's going to get.
Yeah.
It really is. So what's happened is, just to do the 30-second Cliffs Notes recap, is that after the Old Amendment 3 passed, Planned Parenthood sued immediately to stop all of the pro-life laws and all of the basic medical standards that apply to everybody else, but they wanted to stop them from applying to abortion clinics, abortion mills.
Like the fact that you have to have sterilized instruments that are going to go inside somebody's body.
Right.
You have to, wash. You can't reuse the same sheets for new patients as old patients. Those little, anti-choice extremist measures that we have.
The Old Amendment 3 eliminates all of that.
Yeah.
And so Planned Parenthood, as expected, sued. They found a friendly judge in Jackson County, said, yep, injunction against all these laws.
Yeah.
Well, Attorney General Andrew Bailey is obviously trying to stop that. And so the Missouri Supreme Court ruled that the Attorney General erred in part of his strategy and part of the filings. And we're going to get more detail because I want to go into depth because, frankly, I don't understand it the way that Ed will from Missouri Right to Life.
It's a little wonky.
Yeah, we're going to talk to him at around 7:35. So the bottom line here is that the injunctions remain in place, as I understand it. So Missouri, right now, lives are being lost because of the Rowden Amendment.
Right.
And Andrew Bailey is still trying to somehow, I don't even think that Andrew believes that he can overcome the old Amendment 3.
No.
I think he knows that the courts eventually are going to strike down these laws.
I think he's holding it back as best as he can.
Dragging the feet to
Mhm.
save as many lives as possible until we can try to get this thing fixed
Right.
on this. But that's the tactic that he's got in front of us. That's what we can do.
Mhm.
So the courts have basically said this is going to an appeals court. They've reassigned it to an appeals court. And so whether that's good or bad remains to be seen, but it's what's next. So we'll get the legal update around 7:35, but the bottom line in the meantime is what can we do about it? Because I think it's really easy to get discouraged and say, well, we lost. I'm going to move on to other things, which is exactly what the butchers at Planned Parenthood want you to do.
That's what they want.
So you may say, but what can I do right now? I mean, it's a year away from voting on this. What you can do are very simple things like remembering to say the old Amendment 3 versus the new Amendment 3. You know, don't beat people over the head with it. There's going to be a fatigue. Don't wear people out. Don't be the one who like talks constantly about the one thing to where you're like, oh, stop.
Good morning, Mike. Hey, how's it going? Have you heard about this new Amendment 3? Yeah, don't be that guy.
Right. Don't be that guy. But it also remember that one of the reasons Amendment 3, the old Amendment 3 passed is, for instance, a lot of churches didn't step up.
Right.
They did not do it. That's, and you're going to have to overcome that. You need to be, when things of politics or public policy or court things come up in conversation in the lobby in your church, when you're getting your coffee and Mario's Donuts or whatever you're doing. Okay. Remember to say, yeah, we need to make sure we're standing up for life next year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look, your social discomfort shouldn't outweigh the lives of unborn children. Think of it that way. There's an unborn child who's going to get dismembered because of the old Amendment 3.
There are children who already have
been.
Yeah.
And if the new Amendment 3 can go through and stop that, which it can and will, your social discomfort at bringing up these uncomfortable conversations should pale in comparison to that.
Right, exactly. So that's one of the things we can do right now. I'm not even saying change how you talk about it, just add the words old and new.
Right.
Because by the time the yard signs come out, by the time the campaigns come out, there's going to be a lot of confusion because there's a lot of people who don't listen to talk radio every day. A lot of people who don't go onto social media to argue politics. They're going to say, wait a minute, I thought Amendment 3 was bad. You just spent the last year and a half telling me Amendment 3 was bad.
Right.
That's why right now, start saying old Amendment 3 so that when we talk about the new Amendment 3, it's fresh and people understand the difference.
Now, speaking of politics, at 6:50, another politician calls for the arrest of another politician. All right. I guess Mike will bring that to us in the news dump.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
The strong protecting the weak and the good defeating evil.
on News Talk STL.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Dr. Randy Tobler here, and I know that when you're looking for a dentist, you have to make sure you choose a dental practice that's compatible with you and the needs of your family. Well, I'd like to tell you about my dentist, Dr. Dan Cusimano, and his partner, Megan Dwyer, and their team at Advanced Dentistry at St. Charles. The great team at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles can accommodate all of your cosmetic and restorative needs because their passion is general dentistry. Implants, crowns, bridges, even dentures, that what you need the most is what they'll provide in a personalized, focused way. And they can provide therapeutic and cosmetic options like Botox and dermal fillers. Get to know them and all they have to offer by calling 636-978-0226 or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com. That's Dr. Daniel Cusimano and Dr. Megan Dwyer at Advanced Dentistry of St. Charles.
That's Advanced Dentistry Now, 636-978-0226. Or visit them on the web at advanceddentistrynow.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Why leave your company's story to chance? In today's digital world, video content isn't just an option. It's essential for your success. At Blue Ocean Media Group, we've spent decades crafting compelling visual stories for businesses just like yours. From concept to completion, our award-winning team transforms your vision into powerful video content that connects with your audience and drives results. Don't trust your brand to amateurs. Partner with Blue Ocean Media Group. Visit blueoceanmediagroup.com today, and let's bring your story to life.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, there's another possible scam out there, and county officials say it's targeting people trying to use the property tax-free program.
I hate this so much. It's like, can't we just have our tax freeze in peace without everybody bothering us?
And the thing is that this is all in St. Louis County.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you have here is you're giving, and I think this is probably by design. You've got some people on the left saying, see, we shouldn't have even done this. Look at all the chaos and confusion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because at some point they want to repeal this so they can start taxing everybody out of their house and home, you know, at some point. Also, Cardinals had a pretty bad night as well. 6:48. Let's go and dump some news on you here.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, let's start in Washington, D.C. President Donald Trump's recent actions are sparking debate. And actually, I think this is a very healthy debate because it's preventative debate.
Yes.
You know, it's basically saying, hey, before this goes too far, let's talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's over the Posse Comitatus Act,
yes,
which is a law from 1878 that limits military involvement in domestic affairs. Here's what we're talking about.
On Tuesday, about 800 National Guard troops arrived in Washington, D.C. after President Trump declared that they were needed to reduce crime in the district. Meanwhile, a California judge is reviewing whether Mr. Trump's federalization of Guard personnel in Los Angeles during immigration protests violated this law. The Posse Comitatus Act prevents the military from enforcing domestic laws unless bypassed in Congress or under the Insurrection Act. Experts say the law's enforcement has clear limitations and remains largely untested. Posse Comitatus can be bypassed by a congressional vote or in order to defend the Constitution. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Okay, so you've got basically a proactive situation on this because it's actually important that this law is on the book because it limits government.
Right. Yes.
That's the crucial part of this. And that was very, that's a good thing to have in place.
Mm-hmm.
But there's always been distinctions, for instance, in times of disaster,
right,
when the National Guard is brought in,
mm-hmm,
in times of unrest, like
mm-hmm,
the Ferguson riots,
mm-hmm,
like, the George Floyd riots, where the National Guard's been brought in to restore order on this. So what's basically happening here is in Washington, D.C., the president's bringing it in to reinforce law enforcement,
mm-hmm,
and try to tamp down crime and violent crime out there.
Yeah, in general.
In general.
Which is different than dealing with unrest.
Right. And so what you don't have is the National Guard running patrols and pulling people over and that sort of thing, because that would likely violate this act.
Yes.
It would violate the law. But that's not really what's doing. We're talking about a deterrent from violence and that sort of thing. Also, the fact that it's in Washington, D.C., which has a completely separate set of rules from everywhere else. Now, the reason I think this is a good debate that it's happening, I'm glad that it's happening, regardless of what ends up happening in D.C., is that we're now saying, okay, what does this law do? What does it not do? Because if the president were to say, you know what, crime is out of control in St. Louis, I'm federalizing the troops and sending them into St. Louis, I would be against that.
That would be a step too far.
That would be a step way, way, way too far. So at least at this point, we're saying, okay, what is the length we can use military forces like the Guard, and what are the areas we cannot do it. So having that clarification before the next emergency, I think, is absolutely a good thing.
Oh, definitely. And defining the roles of what the military involvement would be in those situations is also kind of an interesting thing, because in LA recently, they were called up to protect federal lands.
Right.
I mean, it's like this is a federal building, so we're going to have the National Guard stationed out here to protect it from the courthouse and things like that, so, to protect it from the unrest of the individuals protesting ICE at the time.
Right.
So that's clearly a good use, a good limitation of what they could do. So out here in DC, I'm not even sure exactly what the limits would be, considering that it is federally regulated area of the country. So but we don't want them on patrol, though.
Yes, we do not want a military police state.
Right.
We do not want that.
The last thing you want is a National Guardsman jumping out of a Bradley fighting vehicle in front of a gas station to say, "Hey, kid, put that candy down."
Right. No. There's a big difference between military doing that and civilian law enforcement doing that. You do not want a military police state. Well, that needs to. Okay, St. Louis County officials are warning seniors about what could be an online scam. They say that if you used the websites either propertyrec.com or propertyrex.com, check your bank statement. Okay, so those sites were basically promising a property report and access to confirmation, I guess, documentation of your deed in exchange for $1. So, hey, for $1, we'll get you this information so you can go apply for your property tax freeze. Well, here's what happened is multiple reports, both to the Better Business Bureau and to basically law enforcement as well. They are saying that what happened is they signed up and got their $1 thing. And some people say, I didn't even get what I was promised, but they did their $1 purchase. And now they're getting $30 a month charges because somewhere in the deep fine print, you subscribed to their service for $30 a month. They just didn't make that obvious.
Hate it so much
out there. So if you used one of those websites, check your bank statement, because you may have to go deal with that. Otherwise, they're trying to sneak that $30 a month fee into your deductions every single month. So the Better Business Bureau is reporting on this. Also, the Attorney General has been asked to look into it as well. Ugh. Okay. President Trump's pick to lead the Bureau of Labor Statistics is suggesting not as many jobs reports, especially no more monthly jobs reports. Here's what's going on.
After last month's dismal jobs numbers, the president fired the head of the BLS and has nominated Heritage Foundation economist E.J. Antoni. Earlier this month, Antoni told Fox News that job reports should be issued quarterly instead of monthly. At the White House, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the hope and the plan is to continue publishing monthly reports. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I think that the more accurate reporting we get, the better.
Yeah, accuracy should be key, right?
Accuracy is more important than frequency.
Right, yes. And I think that's the suggestion here, is that with a quarterly report, you can get closer to accurate numbers because at least, what was it, three of the 4 months? No. 2 or 3. I can't do math for some reason in the morning. This is how bad my brain is right now.
Yeah.
But basically, most of the months in the quarter will have solid numbers, except for that last month, right?
These things get revised so often.
They get revised,
and when they get
often.
revised, you never know that. That's on page 8.
It's memory hold,
right?
I mean, the big report is always going to be the debut of the report, right?
Yep.
The day of the report, big news. Everybody, the market responds. Everybody's all ginned up, and then. Was it weeks after, maybe even half a month later, you'll get the revision. And then,
sometimes it's even months later.
That's true. That's true. And then nobody will say anything.
Right. All right. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton calling for a judge to issue an arrest warrant for former Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke, accusing him of illegally raising money for the for the on the run state Democratic lawmakers. I don't know why this news copy said exiled. They weren't exiled. They ran away.
Yeah. Exiles when you get kicked out.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So on Fox's Ingram Angle, Paxton laid out why he thinks O'Rourke should be literally arrested.
He was raising it for personal expenses to help these Democrats in Texas evade their responsibilities. That's the problem. And he was ordered by a judge to stop fundraising. And he said, basically, he just continued to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, we're in the era where my opponent does something, I want them arrested and thrown into jail. That's basically where I arrest everybody, arrest all my opponents. But all right, which we saw obviously the Democrats do with Trump, literally having him booked and processed in carries to get the mugshot. I mean, so that's where we are in our politics now.
We just need to bring back dueling.
Yes,
exactly.
Pistols at dawn.
By the way, that redistricting plan did pass the Texas State House on Tuesday.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
So
they're moving forward.
Yep, exactly. All right, what else we got going on here in the last minute or so that we've got? The Cardinals lose to the Rockies. That evens up the series 1 game apiece. Final score at Busch Stadium was 3-0. Final game of the series is this afternoon. This is going to be a 1:15 first pitch, and then the Cardinals, I think, are off tomorrow. So here's what's going on as we're heading into the last month and a half or so of the season. Out of the 5 teams in the division, Cardinals are in 4th place. Not looking great.
No.
They are 15 games back.
Man.
And the Milwaukee Brewers, considering how weak the Central Division is, the Milwaukee Brewers have become the hottest team in Major League Baseball.
Which is wild.
They pounded the crap out of the Padres last night. The Milwaukee Brewers, they are likely to end up having their manager be the manager of the year. They are really, really strong right now. I mentioned yesterday, Adam Wainwright thinks that the Cardinals can make it to the wild card race. I think that's really hopeful. I just don't see it.
Newstalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airwaves for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on Newstalk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Is your backyard a battleground every evening? Swatting, itching, kids running back inside? Hey, Tim Jones here. I just found out about a new local company, Mosquito Nix, that can take care of all that and more. They offer permanent automatic mosquito and tick protection, not just fogging, real coverage you don't have to think about. They've helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system. Now they're offering a free fogging treatment to introduce themselves to St. Louis families. Call 636-698-1980 now or visit mosquitonix.com. Say goodbye to bug bites this summer. Service area restrictions do apply. Tell them Tim Jones sent you. Ask about their back-to-school special. St. Louis summers don't last forever, but mosquito bites shouldn't either. Call 636-698-1980. Visit mosquitonix.com. That's mosquitonix.com. This is a limited time offer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is Newstalk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Volodymyr Zelensky has landed. He's in Berlin for talks with Germany's chancellor, virtual discussions with other European leaders, and then a phone call with President Trump. Mr. Trump meets in person with Russia's Vladimir Putin on Friday in Alaska. It's what happens when more money is coming in, but even more is going out. The nation's budget deficit now exceeds a stunning $37 trillion.
We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs.
That was President Trump last week. Treasury Department data show a 273% rise in customs revenue from last year. At the same time, however, the federal budget deficit continues to grow, climbing 20% this fiscal year. Tariff revenues are not yet offsetting increased federal spending, which includes growing interest payments on public debt and Social Security cost of living increases. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is hinting that ceasefire efforts now focus on a comprehensive deal that would release all the remaining Hamas hostages at once instead of a staged release. However, a former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. is skeptical.
Dr. Michael Oren says many favor a simple approach in which Israel would pull out of Gaza in exchange for the hostages.
Hamas is never going to give us back all the hostages.
That's because, in Oren's words, Hamas is evil but not stupid.
And they know that the minute they give us back the last hostage, that is when the IDF goes in and destroys them finally.
And all negotiations are taking place amid a backdrop of very different values, especially when it comes to the value of human life.
In the West, we're not used to negotiating with people who, for whom we'll say, oh, listen, if we don't get our way, we'd rather die.
Dr. Oren was interviewed by the Salem Radio Network. Bob Agnew reporting.
On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, Dow futures are up 119 points. NASDAQ futures 47 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you're living with pain, see how Relief Factor can help.
I'm an artist and I'm in my studio. I listen to the radio all day and I'm hearing the ads about Relief Factor. And I've got pain in my neck and it's getting worse. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to go ahead and order this. 2 weeks later, I've got much better range of motion. If you're experiencing pain at a certain point in life, I would get Relief Factor.
Fight pain naturally with Relief Factor. Go to ReliefFactor.com and get your 3-week quick start today. Only $19.95.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing New Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals, and it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with New Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements are not evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, today and Thursday, really not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Let's be ready for that. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low of 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and maybe even a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high on Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Jamie Ullman here with the great Eric Swanson of Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, Doherty Ferry and Big Bend. Tell me about Wow Diamonds.
Wow Diamonds. We call them that because when people come in and look at the diamonds, everyone says, wow. We feature those in natural diamonds, the mine diamonds. They're perfectly cut, polished, and proportioned. Not all diamonds come out of the cutting process the same, and ours are perfect. That's why they're called Wow Diamonds.
Newstetter's Fine Jewelers right there at Doherty Ferry and Big Bend, wowdiamonds.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Gabe Phifer.
Express sugar honey iced tea, baby.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of coffee the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin.
All right, the NFL goes woke again?
Again.
Woker?
Woker. Are they the
doubling down on the wokiness?
Are they the wokest?
The wokestest? Oh my goodness.
Their wokeism has exceeded expectations.
We've gone from the whole BLM racial thing, which I think they're still trying to hold on to in some parts of the league, to now doubling down on the LGBT stuff.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, now of course they're trying it in the only area where it could work, because I imagine trying to shoehorn ladies onto the field might not work out the same way as the other place.
Okay, so did you see this thing with the Minnesota Vikings?
I did.
Okay, so they've got they now they are not the first team to have male cheerleaders.
Oh no, they doesn't. Well,
6 or 7.
Six or seven teams have. Yeah.
Not
quite a dozen.
And it's let's draw a very big distinction between the college cheerleaders and the pro NFL, NBA, whatever.
Right.
Cheerleaders.
Yeah. No shade on the male
Right.
cheerleaders at these competitions who are tossing the ladies in the
Their
air.
job is to be a strong guy to make sure that the petite cheerleader doesn't fall on her head when they're doing these gymnastic stunts.
Right, and they can get maximum air when they get
Right.
tossed into the into the
Right,
sky.
because the cheerleading in the colleges, I mean, there's some degree of, yes, you're supposed to look pretty,
Mhm.
but the guys are there to basically keep them safe.
Right,
It's a
Yeah.
very athletic thing.
Yeah, it's more like a tumbling show,
Right.
than a dance routine.
Right. So in the NFL, I mean, and you could say the NBA too, but we're talking about the NFL here.
Mm-hmm.
And I know somebody's going to get really mad at me for saying this. And I thought about whether or not I should say it. You know what? I'm going to say it.
Yeah. I'm going to back
Pro
you up.
cheerleaders, NFL cheerleaders, NBA cheerleaders, but NFL here. These cheerleaders have one job.
Mm-hmm.
The job description is be hot, show skin, dance sexy.
That's pretty much it.
That's your job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, you can say that's good or bad, but I'm telling you, that's what the job is.
As opposed to the college cheerleaders who do tumbling exercise. I mean,
Right.
and the high school who are basically they're leading up to the college, which is all tumbling dances, not dances, but I mean,
Yeah,
minimally
they do the,
minimal dances.
Right.
But I mean, like clapping and the shouting routine, the pom pom work, all that stuff kind of tends to be in the high school and college.
Right.
When you get to the pro, it's really just they're doing basically the same moves as any backup dancer on a rap video or a rock
or
video.
a metal video.
Or
Yeah,
a metal. Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
It's the same thing.
So here's what happened. So the Minnesota Vikings have displaced 2 female cheerleaders
Mm-hmm.
and added 2 very, very feminine gay guys.
Like super feminine.
And you would say, how do you know they're gay? Oh, look at the video. You don't have to have gaydar to know what's going on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That first hair flip got me.
Yeah. As he spun and did the hip pose saying, look
gosh.
at my butt.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
And so here's the reaction to this, I think, is what's been interesting, because other teams have guys and they're basically all the same thing. They're very scrawny gay guys.
Yeah.
And one of the teams, I forget
who
which
can
one.
dance. I guess they can pull out the
hey,
same moves as the ladies.
What I hear is that if you go to a club in Miami, you're going to see some moves.
Is what you're going to get.
This is what you get. And one of the teams, I forgot which one, actually has a guy who tries to do the whole I'm really a woman, like the so-called trans thing. There's some team that has one of those on the cheerleaders. I don't remember which one. But this is the thing to have these guys on there, and they've got basically, instead of the skirts, they've got a shorts and whatever. But the Instagram, that AI video of Tim Walz being that's not real. It's funny as hell, but that's not real.
Right.
That's
It's not Tim's. As effeminate as Tim Walz is,
Right.
That's not him.
That's hilarious. I don't. What is wrong with you, Jerome? I'm just saying. Okay. Anyway, so the reaction to this, and I think that we did have the video up there because the cheerleaders did like an Instagram video or TikTok video.
With some.
And basically, a couple of girls, they're like, "Where are the guys?" And then
Mhm.
they prance off, and then these 2 guys do the whole prancing,
Mhm.
sashaying.
Mhm.
It could not be more feminine if they tried.
Yeah.
It really was. And the funny part is there it is. The funny part is how people have reacted to the reaction,
Mhm.
because the NFL's basic fan base
Yes.
has gone, are you serious? Really?
WTF.
Right. WTF. And then it's funny because the reaction is, oh, you right wingers are having your masculinity challenged and you're uncomfortable. And we're going, well, first of all, I'm not an NFL fan anymore.
It's like, it's not a challenge.
It's not a challenge.
I just don't like it.
We're pointing out this is stupid.
It's weird. It's a weird thing to me to be surprised that masculine men don't like effeminate men. That's you know what I mean? It's
Right.
like have you been on this
Or
earth
even in this
for any length of time?
in this context? Because if you go into a restaurant and one of these guys is your waiter, you don't care.
Right.
Did you keep my iced tea filled up?
Yeah.
Did you bring me my food quickly? You don't care. In this case,
Thank
right
you,
here,
Mitch. Here's your tip.
yeah, the purpose of the cheerleaders in the NFL, and I know somebody's gonna try to disagree with me, but I'm right and you're wrong if you disagree with me. is that the purpose of the cheerleaders is to be sexy and add sex appeal to the sidelines of the NFL game.
Yes.
So when you're saying, how dare you look at these guys in a different way?
It's like you ruin the context. Like
Right.
the context is like, okay, so I got the guys on the field. The guys on the field, they're the manliest of manly men, right? It's like they're wearing this armor essentially to go into battle. They
and then there's Tom Brady,
and then there's Tom Brady. But so they're running roughshod over one another, grunting and that's football, right? Manly stuff. And then as they take their time out, the beautiful, sexy, feminine cheerleaders come out on the field.
In
they
the
do their
bikinis
and basically short shorts and wearing bikinis, and they do their little dances. Like, all right, there's the ladies. I get my masculine and feminine feel all at once. But instead of all sexy ladies, you have this effeminate man,
right?
And you're like, and your brain does a what? What is this?
Right.
And why are you giving it?
You
to me?
bigot! How dare you not accept that?
Okay,
you're supposed to look at him and find him sexy too. That's what the NFL is telling you right now.
Now, this being a former football player for almost a decade, this reminds me of those old nerd movies where it's like, oh, we have to beat the jocks to stay on campus, and it's like, how are we gonna big game
Revenge
happens?
of the Nerds.
Something,
Revenge of the Nerds,
something like that. And so the jock team comes out and they're winning, and they look over like, oh, she's so hot. To one of the cheerleaders, it turns around and it's one of these guys. Like, that is how ridiculous this looks to me. I mean,
you're exactly right. That would be a scene in a 1980s movie where it's. Or actually in the 90s. I think we were still pretty cool in the 90s.
Oh,
where
J-Monty. No.
where
maybe let Dylan Mulvaney be the quarterback. No. J-Monty. Stop it.
Now, of course, the point of all of those things being in a comedy or a comedic scene in those movies back in the day was to point out the absurdity of it. It was absurd. It was an unexpected thing. Yeah, that's what kind of comedy is. It's like you're being surprised by the unexpected. It's a pleasant surprise of the unexpected, and it's unexpected that you look at the back of this person. They got long, luscious hair. They're moving very feminine. And then they turn around as a dude, like, huh?
Yeah,
and that's hilarious,
right?
Unless it's real life, and we're actually expecting real cheerleaders, and some dude comes up sashaying to us, and he goes, "Hey."
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Everything about him is the hey, you know, fabulous. Okay,
his name is Blaze.
Yeah, right.
Blaize.
Blaze Chic.
Blaze Chic.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna guess that's a stage name.
I'm a guess,
or it's a Craigslist ad name, something like that. I'm just saying.
I prefer the Iron Sheik personally.
The Iron Sheik is the better.
The Iron Sheik would have broken this guy in half
by accident.
But here's the funny part: is the reaction basically trying to demand compliance. You are not supposed to be bothered by this. In fact, you're supposed to look at these guys in the same way you look at the female cheerleaders. But the female cheerleaders are there to provide sex appeal,
right?
So what you have here is basically the LGBT community, because there's as one of the stories I found, there's actually a website that is nothing but like pro gay stuff in sports. That's like the whole website.
That's what they want.
And they're saying, oh, look at all these right wingers. They're uncomfortable because they're insecure in their masculinity.
Oh, it's not insecurity.
It's not insecurity. It's pointing out the absurdity of this. Now, I gave up on the NFL years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I was a devoted Pittsburgh Steelers fan since the moment I discovered football as a little kid in the 70s until the time I gave up on it after the BLM, hands up, don't shoot, taking a knee, all that nonsense. But the Steelers, they don't have cheerleaders. They're like, we're smash mouth football.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need it.
Right.
We don't do it.
Right.
And so that's just part of the grittiness of what football is. And then the cheerleaders, of course, with the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, when they stared the competition,
they kind of changed the game.
Yeah, to see who can take off the most clothes and still get away with it and be on Sunday Night Football. And that's where they got. Listen, these are brands. I mean, all of these teams, the cheerleaders do swimsuit calendars. Their job is to be fit, tone, young, pretty, showing lots of skin, and dance as sexy as you can get away with on national television.
No, it looks like Elston disagrees.
Mhm.
She says that she wants to see Chip and Dale dancers for the women's football league. So,
hey, look, hey,
fair is fair.
Look, if there's a women's football league,
There is.
and there is, right?
Now, and actually, a real football league. There's
Yes.
a nonsensical lingerie football thing, but there's actually a women's football
real,
league. Yeah.
real women's football league. They should have Chippendale style dancers.
You
I
know
think
what?
that's fair is fair.
You know what, Allison? I hope you get your male Chippendale dancers for the women's leagues.
I
you
think
know
so.
what? I'm not going to be at the game. And no, I am not going to be the Chippendale dancer. I'm sorry to tell everybody. You're welcome. But I say Allison should get it. I think she's asking for a fair thing.
But you know what the women's football league would not do is add a butch lesbian to that dance group.
They're all on the field.
Speaking of, at 7:20, we've got an update on our favorite sheriff,
right.
Alfred Loaded Dice Montgomery. They may rewrite the rules just for one guy.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
My opinion is it's weird.
on News Talk STL. Colombo and Company.
New polling shows Zoran Mondani is building a commanding lead in the New York mayoral race. We'll discuss Wednesday. Plus, Rodney Boyd, Danny Define, and closest cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors. Experience the passion. Oh, yeah. You can go in and see the best variety, the best pricing, the best quality, the best personalized service right there off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or you can have the store come to you. Oh, yeah. Brian and his team take great pride in running a fantastic flooring outlet, and you can get their 5-star ratings right there on Google. Just check it out. It's O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Tim and Chris head to Israel all this week. Keep listening all day, every day for our first-hand reports.
News Talk STL has teamed up with Newsmax for Mission Israel, giving you first-hand reports on what is really going on.
No other St. Louis media will provide you this perspective and personal access.
I'm back in Israel all this week, and this time I'm with my buddy Tim Jones for News Talk STL and Newsmax Mission Israel.
You will not obtain this coverage anywhere else but all this week on News Talk STL.
This is 101.9 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Vince Colonnese. I'll talk to you tonight at 8. But now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL.
Oh, Alfred. Oh, my goodness. By the way, we were, of course, we kept that cheerleading conversation going after. It's funny that the tone deafness on the left.
Yeah, it's like they don't get it.
By the way, there have been people in Minnesota who have said, all right, I'm done. I'm turning in my season tickets. I'm selling them back. Now they're going to sell them. They're still going to,
somebody's going to buy them.
Somebody's going to buy them. But there are people who are just continuing to walk away.
They're punching
the
out.
NFL is still the biggest thing in professional sports in America.
Clearly.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, they feel very comfortable doing these kind of things because it's like, oh, well, our losses will be minimum, no big.
Yeah, and we'll get them back from somebody else, but that's the funny part is when they look at, and it's not even just political conservatives. when you look at blue collar people who save up to buy their tickets to go to the game, because
Just regular dudes.
They're expensive.
Yes.
And they're saying, listen, cheerleaders, you're flaunting, shoving it in my face, this activism. You're demanding I change my mindset over something so primal as what's attractive. And you're demanding that I accept gender bending, which is what these guys are doing. Don't get pissed at me because I snarl my nose at that.
Right.
And the reaction to you're snarling your nose, you're insecure. So essentially they're demanding that everybody reevaluate something as basic as sexuality.
So, and I've never understood the insecure accusations. Like, so is a secure man feminine? Because that
in their mind, yes,
it doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make sense.
It's the whole stunning and brave thing.
Yeah,
it's the stunning and brave.
It
thing.
is.
So yeah. All right. City officials are moving forward with the plan to add more oversight to the sheriff's office. Now, normally that is a very dry topic, and that is okay. But here's what's going on. It is all because of Alfred
Loaded Dice
Montgomery. Just because he can't seem to behave himself or stop spending money. There's actually another report that just came out a day or two ago on more stuff he's spending money on, including like lawyers' fees to defend him.
Yeah. Now,
things like this.
Now, just remind everybody, we call him Loaded Dice because he was basically trying to gamble with a man's job.
Yes.
Using his own pair of loaded dice,
which he admitted to. I mean, it's not even like a baseless accusation. He's like, well, yeah, I did it, but here's why.
I'm pretty sure there was like a voice recording of the entire situation. It's like, let's roll to see if you get to keep your job.
We played the audio in the air. Yeah.
So just FYI, those who are not in the know, that's why we call him Loaded Dice.
Okay. So here's what's going on: is the Board of Aldermen in the city are now debating a new ordinance, a new law that would specifically give the scope of work of the city sheriff.
Okay.
Now, never mind that should be what's in the city charter should be enough. And the city charter is basically a city constitution.
Yep. Should be.
And it provides for the sheriff's office here. So the city, because of Alfred Montgomery's malfeasance, they're saying, okay, we're going to specifically write a law that says you cannot enforce criminal laws. Because that's not the purpose of the sheriff's office. Saying basically these are the things you have to do.
Right.
And they're also saying you're going to have to give us basically constant reports on your spending. Writing all of this into the city law.
Oh my God.
Now, normally it is bad policy to write a law just to address one person's behavior.
Yeah.
That's generally bad policy.
One job description or anything like, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure the Board of Aldermen have much of a choice here. And I don't defend them very often. They might have to do this. So the law is passed through a committee and now the whole board is going to be debating it. This might be a case where they need to do something that otherwise would be bad policy. So I'm not sure the Board of Aldermen's wrong here. I think they might be right in having to do this because Alfred Montgomery is so out of control.
They got to same page him. They have to do a same page, right?
Yeah.
Because it's basically the same thing. It's the idea that there's someone in a relatively high managerial sort of position,
right,
executive position over an agency or a government body who is either unwilling or incapable of performing the job as written or as understood, such that it requires further and very specific descriptions in order to hold them more accountable.
Right.
It's crazy that we have to get this to this position in these instances, but some people are just built that way, I guess.
And with the Board of Aldermen here, I like it when government limits government.
Yes.
And government demands more transparency. That doesn't happen very often. And most of the time, the Board of Aldermen in the city of St. Louis, because every single one of them are left-wingers. There are no conservatives on the Board of Aldermen in St. Louis City. None.
Zero.
They are about as left-wing as you get, and we're seeing the predictable results economically, educationally, public safety-wise, and everything else, culturally and everything else. And so if we were to say, you know what, I got mad at the codes enforcement person in Richmond Heights. Let's pass a law to say this is what we're going to do with the codes enforcement. No, you just deal with the person.
Yeah. Generally speaking.
But you've got somebody who was elected, who's going to be in that office unless he can be pushed out by the attorney general. He's going to be there for 4 years. And you also have somebody who has taken liberties with his job, a job, by the way, that the people of St. Louis pay to give him guns to do.
Yeah, really.
And we now have to write something to specifically limit that. It's frustrating. It's a waste of time and money, but I don't know that the Board of Aldermen has another choice. They have to address it because he's pushed back when they've questioned him. He's pushed back and basically said, how dare you?
Yeah, really. Now, there's only a couple of instances where we've seen this kind of thing, right? At least locally. You got Sam Page, you got Alfred Montgomery. I can't think of another individual who has forced the hand of a legislature like these guys.
Around here, yeah. I don't know of too many others. I mean, Kimberly Gardner, but
I suppose.
But City Hall didn't want to take her on because they were in her camp.
True.
And the Attorney General had to go after her.
Right.
For that. And then you got the state legislature dealing with the police department because the mayor, and the City Hall had not done it. So you've got areas where government's running over the top of each other. But as long as we're trying to limit government, I'm good with it.
Right.
And so in this case here, you've got one person who's going to end up causing not even a rewriting, but yeah, sort of a rewriting, but a reinforcing of the rules. And Sam Page is a good example because we had to go to the voters a number of times to pass things in the charter that just reinforced what was already in the charter.
Yeah.
It was basically the Sam Page, no, we mean it.
Yes.
Layer on top of that. And with Alfred Montgomery, you've got somebody who apparently thinks he's above the law and above any budget constraints and screw the taxpayers. And I'm going to use this as my personal fiefdom. And I'm going to create a power base for my position that doesn't exist. And you've got the Board of Aldermen saying, well, then we have to clearly define that you don't have this power base. Your job is literally to provide security at the courts and safely transport inmates to and from the jail and to and from medical treatments if that's what they need.
Should legislatures start preemptively doing this for their various executive offices?
No.
Okay.
Let me tell you why.
All right.
Because the rules that you will preemptively write now will tie somebody's hands in possibly a bad way, maybe a good way, but possibly in a bad way 20 years from now. Because something's going to change. Technology is going to change. Culture is going to change. Court rulings are going to change. Precedent's going to change. The needs and demands of the nature of crime or business or something is going to change. And at some point, what would not be thinkable now is actually the freedom-based action 20 years from now that we would have never thought about. So what you should be doing is saying, these are the expectations. It's okay to say this is the limits of something. I think we should have that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But then again, I'm somebody who says every time we pass a law, we should automatically include a sunset.
Yes, sure.
And in order to say if it's still a valid law in 10 years, then approve it again with another sunset.
Right.
But that's one of the ways I think we should limit government.
Absolutely. That's actually, I think that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah, I think that if you say we're going to write the Alfred Montgomery rules for every single position, I think that you're probably going to be putting yourself in a position to where somebody's going to be able to loophole that and say, hey, you didn't address this, I'm going to go do that, instead of saying this is the scope of what you can, what you're allowed to do. This is the purpose of your job. And in some ways, listen, voters in St. Louis City, this is your fault.
Yeah.
You were irresponsible. This is your fault.
Yeah. Speaking of faults, we're going to be talking about the Caleb Rowden amendment.
Exactly.
And our court sets the pro-life effort back at least a little, and we'll update you on that and what's next at 7:35.
Also, leftist rags need a lesson in news ethics. That coming up with Larry Connor's commentary.
That's for sure. Absolutely.
Stop breaking the law! Oh!
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, today and Thursday, really not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Let's be ready for that. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low of 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and maybe even a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high on Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
You've worked hard for your money, so protect it. Meet my friend Bob Leslie, and ask about the gain and retain plan. Leslie Consulting, 40 years in the St. Louis area as a leader in brokerage and risk management. Call 314-721-0066, 721-0066. Oh, and ask Bob how he was the LA Dodger #1 pick. LeslieConsulting.com.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
The New Yorker magazine claims it has a bombshell report. President Trump is getting richer by being president. Well, here's where the hypocrisy begins. One part of the New Yorker article claims that even Donald Trump Jr. is getting rich because he got hired by an investment firm. The New Yorker boasts the only reason he got hired is because Daddy is president. Oh, does that sound familiar? Like Hunter Biden getting named to an oil and gas company because of his daddy? In fact, Hunter admitted, I got the job just because of my last name. But the New Yorker never did such a story on the Bidens. In the Trump article, the magazine brings up what they call a longtime government ethics reform advocate as an expert. And he says, when it comes to public office, using it for personal profit, Trump is a unicorn. No one comes close. Really? Not the Bidens, not Pelosi, not Hillary and Bill Clinton with their foundation funded by nations that were sure Hillary would be president? Guess the New Yorker staff didn't see that story right in front of their eyes.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hungry for something different? Come taste the Chicago tradition at Nancy's Pizza in O'Fallon, Missouri. Family and veteran-owned Nancy's brings you authentic Chicago-style stuffed crust pizza, hot, cheesy, and piled high. Craving a crunch? Try our crispy tavern-style pizza. Plus, we even have delicious gluten-free crusts. Try our mouth-watering selection of pastas, sandwiches, salads, and appetizers. And don't forget to join our loyalty program for tasty rewards. Carry out and delivery only. 2007 Highway K in O'Fallon and Nancy'sPizza.com. Use code NEWSTALK to receive a free 6-piece breadstick.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. Call 800-335-2299. That's 800-335-2299.
During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places you can't control. Between payroll, your home office, your tax preparer, and the IRS, if your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Thank you for the opportunity to let me vent here.
Live and local.
Way to be, Galloway.
This is News Talk STL.
I am home.
Hey, Chris Arp from the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
And by the way, Chris and Tim bringing you their show from Israel again today. They're in the Middle East as part of that Newsmax delegation. So I'm looking forward to hearing what those updates are. 7:35 right now. Okay, since the old Amendment 3 passed in Missouri, we knew that protecting life was going to be difficult in the state. Okay. Did the courts just confirm that it's going to be really difficult, or is this just another part of the process? Here's the thing. It's confusing, but we need to know where we stand in order to try to reclaim the protection of life in the state.
Right.
7:35 right now. Joined by Ed Grewach from Missouri Right to Life, where he's Ed. I think your title is what? Senior counsel. You're basically the legal counsel, the lawyer for Missouri Right to Life. So when you look at what happened with the Missouri Supreme Court, some folks on the left claiming victory. Andrew Bailey is lost. This is inevitable now. It looks like there was as much of a procedural ruling as there was on the facts of the case. So when the Supreme Court says this gets sent to an appeals court, what was actually decided yesterday?
You're exactly accurate in that. I mean, it really was just a question of procedure. The Attorney General under Senate Bill 22, which gives him the authority to appeal any preliminary injunction that enjoins the state from enforcing any statute, appealed that directly to the Supreme Court, because there's a provision in the Missouri Constitution that says the Missouri Supreme Court has exclusive jurisdiction for any case involving the validity of any statute. So what the Supreme Court decided was, well, that only applies to a final judgment, that exclusive jurisdiction, not to a preliminary injunction. So it sent the case back to the Western District Court of Appeals. So it really wasn't any substantial decision one way or the other on the merits of the appeal or the merits of Planned Parenthood's claim.
Morning, Ed. Gabe Phifer here. So what's next? What happens now that the that court has been receives this case, and I suppose the Attorney General is going to have more arguing to do?
They do. They've already submitted, of course, their notice of appeal. They raised 20 points where they think the trial court erred in entering this preliminary injunction. So they'll just argue those same 20 points in front of the Western District Court of Appeals initially. Of course, obviously, if there's an adverse ruling there, you can expect one party or the other to appeal it back to the Supreme Court at that point in time.
Yeah, I mean, is it just pretty much a given, Ed, that at the end of this process is the Missouri Supreme Court deciding what the old Amendment 3 actually means? And is it really a bad thing that this gets drug out? I mean, it seems to me the longer we can delay as much of this as possible, the better, because we at least have a chance to save some lives in the meantime.
Well, the difficult part, though, is that this preliminary injunction that the Jackson County judge entered really stops us from enforcing all our Missouri statutes, including all the health and safety regulations, which I'm sure you've covered before, include the requirement that they sterilize their instruments, that they have perform an ultrasound to determine the gestational age of the child, before they perform the abortion. All those really common sense things are now out the window and unenforceable until we get some relief one way or the other from the Court of Appeals. So the status quo isn't necessarily ideal for us at this point.
Okay, so if the appeals court gives a favorable ruling, and then we could at least have some of those back into place, which will then obviously be appealed up the Missouri Supreme Court. So basically, then I was mistaken, and we kind of want this to move quicker, sooner rather than later, or what's the strategy timing?
Yeah, and that was really one thing about Senate Bill 22. It had an emergency clause even to give the Attorney General immediately, not having to wait till August 28th, but immediately when it passed the session, to appeal these types of preliminary injunctions, because they really have the same effect of a final judgment against us. I mean, there's completely unregulated abortion now in Missouri. There's no health and safety regulations. There's no nothing. Now, the case is set for trial in January the 12th in Jackson County. Now, when it comes to a final judgment, once a final judgment's entered, then that appeal will go directly to the Missouri Supreme Court.
Right.
But for now, we're just kind of going through that process and hopefully trying to get that, because in the last appeal, because this is really the reissue of a preliminary injunction the Jackson County judge entered back in February of this year. And the Supreme Court vacated that, sent it back, gave the Jackson County judge some standards to consider. Then the Jackson County judge on July 3rd basically re-entered her prior injunction, preventing us from enforcing all our abortion health and safety regulations.
Now, given the wording of Amendment 3, my presupposition is that at the end of all of these lawsuits, these laws are going to fall to Amendment 3, old Amendment 3.
Old Amendment 3.
But if new Amendment 3 passes, let's say these things are all adjudicated at this point, and a lot of these laws are struck down. Old Amendment 3 comes through, changes the game again. How does it work to resurrect these laws, or do they have to be rewritten and repassed by the legislature?
No, they're on the books. So the question would be, are they enforceable? And under the old Amendment 3, as you said, not unreasonable to expect the court's going to find the existing statutes are unconstitutional, but they're still on the books. So if the new Amendment 3 passes, it would just be a matter of, getting the court to confirm that, yes, the new Amendment 3 does allow us to enforce health and safety regulations and whatever limits on abortion are presented in the new Amendment 3.
So long as the legislature doesn't actively repeal the law, it'll act more like a trigger situation. Once the new Amendment 3 victory comes through, they become enforceable again, if I'm understanding correctly.
That is correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's actually really, really crucial. We're visiting with Ed Grewach from Missouri Right to Life, which, by the way, there's a really cool event coming up. Missouri Right to Life is putting on. I'm going to tell you about here in just a second as well. And so, Ed, in the meantime, I mean, obviously, we're going to be watching what happens in these courts. I mean, it seems like we've got a pretty good idea of where things are going to go, like Gabe was just saying. But when it comes to pro-life work, we've got a legislative session coming up. We've still got things that we can be doing. Obviously, we want people to be differentiating between the old Amendment 3 and the new Amendment 3, which is why I'm asking people to add that to the vernacular, to talk about old Amendment 3 and then to promote new Amendment 3, just to get people's minds clear on what's what. But what are the things we should be doing in the meantime when we look at the bigger picture of simply trying to protect life in Missouri that now has passed Amendment 3, which makes us one of the most radically pro-abortion states in the country?
Well, there always another aspect of the pro-life movement is changing hearts and minds. So we do our bit at Missouri Right to Life to educate people, and the two really keys there are, I think a lot of times people neglect to consider the fact that it's a scientific fact that life begins at conception, and every abortion kills an innocent human being. And when you hear all the pro-abortion arguments, they're all they ignore that completely. And, also abortion is just a violent, horrific procedure. And, from my perspective, because even before Dobbs, we were doing this work. We were trying to change hearts and minds. We were trying to educate people and convince them that life matters. And so we can do that. Legally, we're kind of hamstrung until we can get the new Amendment 3 passed. I think it's significant to say, too, even though it's kind of non-responsive to your question, is that, these are all things, the things that are happening now, the wiping out of the health and safety regulations, are all things that we argued during the campaign for the old Amendment 3. And the mainstream liberal media said, oh, MRL, you're wrong. Those things aren't going to happen. Well, now they have, Right. So I think that's a good object lesson to, what media you choose to listen to, and to when you hear something from the mainstream media, to obviously consider their very clear liberal ideological leanings.
Yep, absolutely. In the last minute or so, we've got Missouri Right to Life putting on the Make Missouri Pro-Life Again banquet and program. I am going to be there on September 3rd, if I remember, or excuse me, September 8th, Monday, September 8th. Laura Trump is the featured speaker. What are we accomplishing with this event? Because I'm looking forward to being there.
Well, obviously, it's going to be a great event. It gets everybody together. Laura Trump is an amazing speaker, and and also raising money for the new and improved Amendment 3 campaign. But the key is getting everybody in that room, getting them energized, getting them ready for the battle that we have ahead.
All right. And of course, you can go to MissouriLife.org to get more information. You can go right to the registration there at MissouriLife.org or MRL Banquet as in Missouri Right to Life, mrlbanquet.com as well. Ed, thanks so much for the update. I know it's really complicated, but it's just crucial that everybody understands where we stand in this process right now.
Well, thank you for having me. I
All right.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Ed.
We'll talk to you again soon. Ed's going to be my go-to guy when it comes to learning the legalities and knowing where we stand on all of these things. All right. 314-912-1019. That's how to be involved in the discussions here. Just ahead here, were the hippies right about some things?
Oh, whoa. Take it easy there,
I'm
buddy.
just saying, not politically.
Okay, all right.
But were they right about some things? All right. I will tell you why I'm asking that question right around 7:49. Okay.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
A cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On Newstalk STL.
Irrigation systems are put through the stress test throughout our hot Heartland summers when temperatures skyrocket and rain is scarce. Tim Jones here for Hydrodynamics Core, which you should call today to make sure your irrigation system is running at peak performance. This is critical to ensure your lawn and foliage remain lush and lovely and that your grass and plants thrive instead of just barely survive. Schedule a monthly system checkup today with Hydrodynamics Core to make sure your irrigation system is working at its best. That's hydrodynamicscore.com, hydrodynamicscore.com.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
Hey, firearms enthusiast, looking for a family and veteran-owned shop with a wide selection of products and services? Head to DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green. DG Firearms has been your one-stop shop for custom ARs, Cerakoting, laser engraving, gunsmithing, suppressors, ammo, and reloading supplies. DG Firearms, 115 Business Highway 61 North in Bowling Green, and online at dgfirearmsllc.com.
Hello, I'm Missouri State Treasurer Vivek Malik. August 14th is National Able Savings Day, a time to highlight how ABLE accounts empower individuals with disabilities. Our More ABLE program helps Missourians save for everyday needs without losing public benefits. To celebrate, we are offering a $25 match for anyone who opens a new account in August. Earnings grow tax-free and contributions qualify for a state tax reduction. Let's help more Missourians build financial independence. Learn more at moable.com.
Paid for by the Missouri State Treasurer's Office.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on Newstalk STL.
Generally speaking, hippies, the hippie movement was bad.
Oh, it was terrible.
Yeah, just terrible.
Yeah.
But did they get a couple things right? And I'm joking on this because I don't think it's necessarily a hippie mindset, but it's just my way of doing a tease to hopefully keep you listening on this.
Yeah, well, I mean, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah,
unless it's digital.
Precisely. So remember, let's go back to the 80s and the both the good guys and sometimes the bad guys. It was all about the materialism. It was about the fancy cars and the expensive houses on the beach and all that.
The yuppie lifestyle was the goal. Right?
It was working 1 million hours a week to make a crap ton of money. And that's kind of what our generation, grew up with, probably one of the reasons we have a better work ethic than a lot of other generations, is because we were working to win the corporate race.
Right. Yeah.
He who dies with the most toys wins.
Right.
Kind of mindset.
Well, and of course we had a lot of examples of that working.
Right.
You know, where you're like a lot of folks' parents were the yuppies who actually worked their way into having a big house and nice cars and all. It's like, and they told their kids, yeah, just do what we did.
Right. And so you're getting kind of a rejection of that. Now, some of that swung so far that it's just stupid.
It got ridiculous.
I saw one of those videos that was put on TikTok. I saw it on Facebook where there was a young woman who was crying going, we shouldn't have to go work 5 days a week. I have a life to, I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah. It's like, I can't maintain my lifestyle working 40 hours a week.
Right.
It's
You
like,
know,
wait, what is it? Wait, what?
Yeah. How are you going to pay for your lifestyle?
What?
Now, there are some complaints about, you know, there are some things that make a lot of sense to say, wait a minute, you work 50 weeks out of the year just to get 2 off. You work 40 or 50 years out of your life just in order to retire to enjoy 5 to 10 of that. That makes sense,
I suppose.
Yeah. So here's an interesting, there's a study that came out, and I found this on a website called Study Finds. And it says that the study finds saying living a simpler life makes us happier. Now, that doesn't mean don't work and don't be ambitious or anything like that.
Right. I think work is actually required for that. Purpose.
Right.
I'll say purpose.
You have to have purpose. You have to have vocation.
Yes.
And that doesn't even mean, like, for instance, if you are a stay-at-home mom, that doesn't mean you don't have purpose. You don't have vocation.
And work.
And sometimes, you know,
Clearly it's
exactly. So, like, for instance, they defined simple life into 5 different categories.
All right.
One is material simplicity.
Okay.
In other words, instead of consumerism, have all the biggest toys and you got all that sort of thing.
All the stuff.
You just don't buy stuff you don't need.
Okay. I mean, look, if you don't have the money to buy stuff you don't need, don't buy it.
Right.
That's a good start.
And I remember, like, for instance, people who were embarrassed because they had a model of their iPhone that's too many back.
Right.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's silly.
Even like, for instance, the car. I mean, I've got a decent car. I've got my SUV, my car out there. But I will be just fine if that thing keeps running for 10 years.
Oh gosh, I'm going to drive the wheels off of my car.
Right. That sort of thing. So it's like, don't buy stuff you don't need, as opposed to
Latest and greatest.
Yeah, image-based consumerism.
Right. Yeah. I mean, basically the things you see on Instagram, the Instagram lifestyle stuff.
Right.
You're like, it's like, yeah, me and my wife and my one kid have a 27 bedroom house.
Right.
You know, and we have 17 cars, and it's like, you're 3 people.
Right.
You don't need all of
You
that.
don't need it. And if you can afford it, and I mean, that's fine. I'm not
I
saying
suppose
you should have I defend your right to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
but you don't need it.
If you don't need it, they're saying you will be happier
Mm-hmm.
if you don't buy the extravagance. Now, that doesn't mean don't treat yourself. It doesn't mean don't take a vacation.
Right.
It's just saying, as opposed to that mindset,
Mm-hmm.
you just simply say, I don't need that. I'm fine with what I've got.
That also helps people live within their means too.
Right.
If they stop reaching for this unreachable material.
And this is one where I think Jerome's generation is probably better than our generation.
Oh
at
yeah,
this mindset.
they're getting there.
Yeah. Well, because we can't afford anything there. Nation's broke. We don't get paid very much. I mean, that's just kind of how it is.
Yeah. Well, what somebody described to me what your generation is dealing with, and it's kind of the flip of what ours did,
right?
Where basically our necessities were cheap and our luxuries were expensive.
Yeah.
It's the opposite for their generation. Their necessities are expensive, but their luxuries are cheap. So it looks weird to us when you're eating the avocado toast, but you can't afford your rent.
Yeah.
For us, it was the opposite. Rent was easy. The avocado toast was super expensive. Like, just put jelly on it and you'll be fine.
My first rent was literally like $95 a month for a studio apartment in Quincy, Illinois.
Yeah, mine's
now. Keep in mind, minimum that I was working for $3 and something an hour. You know.
Yeah.
But that's the way it was.
It hasn't kept up.
Now,
okay.
I was gonna say the issue with that though is that the Zoomers, the people below my generation, their parents are splurging all their money for this kind of designer lifestyle.
They gotta hit that
now
Instagram.
they're getting older, and they're like, "Well, wait, this isn't just free," and that's
right.
Yeah, that's true. That's
okay.
True.
So here's the second of the 5 points: self-sufficiency. Basically, cooking for yourself. Things like gardening, things that our grandparents did, as opposed to needing to go buy or demanding somebody else do it.
Huh.
I mean, I prepare all my own meals unless I go treat myself to a dinner, which I don't do that often. But that self-sufficiency, just doing it yourself, they say leads to happiness. Not that you're joyous in cooking if you don't like cooking, but that it just contributes to you just having a more peaceful, happy life.
I agree that the sense of accomplishment you get when you purchase yourself the ingredients, you assemble the meal and you eat the meal all on your own. Like you go through the entire process.
Yeah.
I think there's a sense of satisfaction from that.
Now, I'm not sure I agree with number 3.
Okay, what's that?
Okay, they call it local procurement.
Oh,
meaning you buy local as opposed to like just going online and buying everything at Amazon. I don't think that makes a difference.
I don't think it makes a
difference. If you can access the stuff that you need, I don't really think it matters where it comes from. Yeah, there's something nice about being able to buy local. I'm not saying that's bad. I mean, that's good, especially for your local economy. I just don't know that I don't see why that would matter to your personal happiness.
I disagree.
Okay.
There is some weird joy that I get when I go to like a thrift store or garage sale
Sure.
or something, and it's not only contributing to my community, but it's like, wow, like, look at this great find that I found instead of taking the easy way out.
And waiting for 3 days for it to show up.
Yeah.
and
Okay.
things like
I mean,
that.
you know what? I see both your points
Yeah.
because the ease and the access that we get through online stuff is like you can't completely discount it, but certainly, yeah. I mean, I have had joyous occasions where I would have a really cool find at a thrift store or something like oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I never know. Yes, absolutely. That's joy right there.
Okay, number 4, resource conservation. And this is all from Study Finds saying living simpler makes us happier.
Okay.
It says basically you know how to repair stuff instead of going to buy new stuff every time something breaks, and you don't waste a bunch of stuff.
It sounds like a wrinkle to these self-sufficiency.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what's funny is the older I get, whereas I used to like daydream about I want to jet set and take a trip and see the world and go see all the historic heritage site. Now I'm like, I want a pop-up camper and I want to go camp by a lake or a mountain and just get away.
Yes.
That's my goal now. That's the stuff I want. So if anybody's selling a nice small pop-up camper, let me know. Beneficence is number 5 here. And they say this is the most important one, which is basically connecting with people around you, sharing things like skills or resources or knowledge or building social networks and things like that. And so the stuff that we didn't used to do because we were in a corporate rat race, as opposed to, building a career. They're two different things. But they're basically saying just the people to people connection, as opposed to basing your life on like that corporate rat race.
I'd say that goes back to the kind of the old school way that my parents did things. And that kind of sounds like it's rooted in the church, or I should say a good church, which they're fewer and further between, by the way. But hey, a Halls Ferry Christian Church in Blackjack is one of those good ones.
You know what's funny is I look at all 5 of these, I'm like, that's basically how my grandparents lived.
Yeah, pretty much.
And of course, having the News Talk STL app is a great way to improve your life as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
For 3 generations, one family has ruled the road in quality asphalt paving. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. Family owned and operated. We're your leading authority for driveways, lanes, and parking areas. No project is too small or too large. We cater to both residential and commercial needs with unbeatable quality at just $38 per square yard plus labor. Call 636-295-9949. 636-295-9949. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. You save when we pave.
Hey, it's Jamie Ullman here with my good friend Rob Very, St. Louis Bath and Renovation, STLBR.com, and you've got some things with which to wow our people.
Are you tired of cleaning on Saturdays? Let us help you out. Zero grout, zero maintenance products for you and your home.
And
absolutely, you can find us at www.stlbr.com. Send us your info, book a quick 5-minute phone call with us. We'll see if we're able to help you out.
St. Louis Bath and Renovation, supporting free, common sense, conservative radio, STLBR.com.
Thanks, Jamie.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
When you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Hey, St. Louis golfers. Looking for a new golfing experience? Sugar Creek Golf Course was voted the most popular golf course in St. Louis. Book your tee time today at sugarcreekgolfcourse.com and join the fastest growing golf community in town, sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Ukrainian President Zelensky is in Berlin today, joining Germany's chancellor for talks with European and U.S. leaders ahead of the Trump-Putin summit later in the week.
On Tuesday at a youth forum, Zelensky says he knows the Russia-US negotiations are important at the leadership level, but it's impossible to talk about Ukraine without Ukraine, and no one will accept that. They cannot agree on anything about Ukraine without us. Russian President Vladimir Putin and President Donald Trump will be in Alaska on Friday. Ukraine has categorically rejected any deal with Moscow that could involve ceding land, after Trump suggested such a concession would be beneficial to both sides. I'm Charles Tilledesma.
The White House says a federal crackdown on crime has already taken dozens of criminal suspects off the streets of Washington, D.C. Presidential spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt says fewer guns are circulating, too.
A total of 6 illegal handguns were seized off of District of Columbia streets as part of last night's effort. This is only the beginning. Over the course of the next month, the Trump administration will relentlessly pursue and arrest every violent criminal in the district who breaks the law, undermines public safety, and endangers law-abiding Americans.
D.C.'s 3,400 police officers have been temporarily federalized, and 850 federal agents have taken to the streets of D.C. GE Appliances planning to spend $3 billion expanding its U.S. operations. GE will be shifting production of refrigerators, gas ranges, and water heaters out of China and Mexico. The plan is to add 1,000 jobs and modernize GE Appliances' American plants in the coming 5 years. This will affect operations in Kentucky and Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and South Carolina. Wall Street Dow features up 152, NASDAQ features 90 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
I'm excited to share something that's especially close to my heart, the people of Israel. The Bible teaches us that in a world of broken promises, one covenant remains unshakable: God's eternal promise, his unwavering commitment to Israel, his beloved people. And now more than ever, God is calling Christians everywhere to support Israel, to be a living testimony that his promises endure forever. I've chosen to partner with the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews as one way to align myself with God's eternal plan. For over 40 years, this wonderful ministry has faithfully provided nutritious food, care, and life-saving aid to Israel's most vulnerable, the poor and the elderly, many of whom are Holocaust survivors. And when crises strike, like rocket attacks or urgent humanitarian needs, IFCJ is already on the ground responding with compassion and support. Join me in standing for Israel and declaring God's faithfulness to all generations. To learn more and to find out how you can help, visit ifcj.org. That is ifcj.org, ifcj.org.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, today and Thursday, really not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Let's be ready for that. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low of 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and maybe even a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high on Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Hey guys, I don't know about you, but I love learning about national and international issues here on News Talk STL. But do you know what's going on in your neck of the woods, your city, your county, and its politics? If you live in Jefferson County and want to know more about what's happening locally, join Speaker Tim Jones and me, Councilman Billy Crow, as we dive into all things Jefferson County on Sundays at high noon on Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
On News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Phifer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on NewsTalk STL.
All right, a Missouri court adds another layer to the fight over life and abortion. Going to follow up our conversation with Missouri Right to Life's Ed Grewach here in just a moment. By the way, if you want to hear that conversation, because it was really informative, there was even one point I'm like, wait a minute, so I got that wrong. I learned something on the whole legal process. That's going to be posted on our podcast here in another hour and a half or whatever, something like that. And so make sure you're subscribed to Mike Ferguson in the morning on the podcast, because that's going to be really helpful in getting good information out to your friends, family, church members, coworkers, whatever, to kind of set the stage for us to pass the new Amendment 3. Also, there's another possible scam out there, and St. Louis County officials say it is going after people trying to use the property tax freeze program. And the Cardinals, well, they did everything right in the game except score runs last night. All right, 8:06 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news dump.
All right, the Missouri Supreme Court rules against Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey and for Planned Parenthood, but this is not the end-all be-all. It's not as bad as it sounds. The case involves Bailey's challenge to a Jackson County court's injunction. And that injunction, of course, is what Planned Parenthood wanted to strike down Missouri's pro-life laws. So Planned Parenthood sued to get the laws and the medical standards struck down after the old Amendment 3 passed last year, basically ending all regulations on abortion. So what's happened is the court said that there were some things done wrong technically in the case by the Attorney General's office, and they have assigned the case to an appeals court. So it is not over, and it is going to be heard in January. And as we learned, regardless of the outcome, it is likely to be appealed back to the Missouri Supreme Court, who will make a final decision. The fact of the matter is, Gabe, they are probably going to rule that Missouri's health and safety laws and pro-life laws are going to be essentially struck down.
Yeah, as we predicted, because that's how the law is written. Now, of course, this is all part of the stalling tactic, the delaying tactic that I think the AG is using pretty effectively right now. And ultimately, the goal, though, is to get new Amendment 3 passed so that all those laws become enforceable again, regardless of whatever this court says.
Precisely. All right, President Trump's actions sparking debate over the Posse Comitatus Act, which was passed in 1878. And this is designed to limit military involvement in domestic affairs. And of course, we're talking about basically him sending in the military, the Guard, into Washington, D.C. because of the violent crime there. Here's the story.
On Tuesday, about 800 National Guard troops arrived in Washington, D.C. after President Trump declared that they were needed to reduce crime in the district. Meanwhile, a California judge is reviewing whether Mr. Trump's federalization of Guard personnel in Los Angeles during immigration protests violated this law. The Posse Comitatus Act prevents the military from enforcing domestic laws unless bypassed in Congress or under the Insurrection Act. Experts say the law's enforcement has clear limitations and remains largely untested. Posse Comitatus can be bypassed by congressional vote or in order to defend the Constitution. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
Okay, so I actually think it's a good thing that we're having this debate, because you've got the left throwing a fit, basically because if Donald Trump breathes, they throw a fit.
Yeah.
But what you have here is...
Good morning. What's so good about it?
That's right. Don't you say that. If Bernie Sanders tell me good morning, it's a good morning, but don't you say it, Donald Trump. How dare you? That's right. And so I think it's a good thing that we're reminding ourselves that there need to be limits on what any government can do.
Yes.
Also, keep in mind, Washington, D.C. has a very different set of rules than any other city in the country.
Right. Washington, D.C. is a federal setup there.
Right.
It's a district of
Yes.
Columbia that's governed by the federal government.
Right. And so President Trump has sent in the Guard to try to gain essentially control for the people as opposed to the criminals out there. And so there's a debate on, well, how far can you go? Well, that's a good debate to have.
Absolutely. And now here's what I want to see out of the Guard. I want them to be now in charge of transporting prisoners and things like, you know, like if police are called out and they have to arrest a whole bunch of people for a riot at basically a gas station, a takeover by young people, what usually happens is now the police have to escort all those guys back to the station, do the processing themselves. They're not on the street anymore. But if maybe they could make the arrest and then hand them over to the guard, let the guard do all the silliness and the paperwork and all that stuff so those guys can remain on patrol and remain capable of enforcing laws. That I think would be a good use of the guard.
You do not want a military police state.
No,
anywhere, not even in the District of Columbia. You do not want that.
You do not want to send someone trained for war out with a pair of handcuffs to try and catch somebody, because that's not what they're trained to do. They're trained to kick in a door, throw a flashbang, and eliminate everybody in the room. That's not how law enforcement works.
Precisely.
So yeah, at best, you want them to do the logistical stuff.
Yep. All right. So we'll see how this shakes out. But bottom line is President Trump is well within his authority to do this in Washington, D.C. It wouldn't necessarily be somewhere else to do a essentially preemptive public safety law enforcement thing generally.
Right.
But in Washington, D.C., I think he's well within his authority to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay. St. Louis County officials are now warning seniors about what appears to be or what could be an online scam. So what they're saying is that if you used websites PropertyRec.com or PropertyRex.com, you need to check your bank statement. So here's what was going on. Those sites were basically selling a property report, including like confirmation of the deed of the property and things like that, for $1 that you could then take in and use to apply for your property tax freeze.
Conceivably, that's what you were paying for.
That's what they said you were paying for. But here's the thing. Once you put in your debit card or your bank account information to buy it for $1, the company says the fine print means that you signed up for a $30 a month subscription.
Yeah, that $1 was an intro cost for your subscription.
Exactly.
And that's ultimately what it actually was paying for.
So now there are people who use that website. It's not even just in St. Louis. Turns out the similar things have happened with this company around the country. Is that people are going, wait a minute, what's this $30 charge? So I bought this thing for $1. I bought basically the property search for $1. I bought the report for $1. And what was really happening is they were trying to, or they were successfully enrolling you into this $30 a month thing. And now people are finding those charges. So what county officials are saying is if you used one of these websites, check your bank statement, because you may end up at this point now getting $30 a month charged to your account. Then you need to go talk to your bank about stopping that charge. Okay, President Trump's pick to lead the Bureau of Labor Statistics is suggesting suspending monthly job reports. This is interesting. Here's what's going on.
After last month's dismal jobs numbers, the president fired the head of the BLS and has nominated Heritage Foundation economist E.J. Antoni. Earlier this month, Antoni told Fox News that job reports should be issued quarterly instead of monthly. At the White House, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the hope and the plan is to continue publishing monthly reports. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Bottom line, figure out how to do the reports the most accurately and do them in those intervals.
Yeah.
There's no reason with the resources our federal government that they shouldn't be able to do it monthly.
Yeah, you would think that relatively accurately we could do monthly, but for some reason there's always an adjustment. And those adjustments have added up.
They really have.
I think it was Stephen Moore, who actually was presenting some of the most egregious adjustments we've had over the last few years. And they amounted to millions of jobs.
Oh, yeah. I would rather, because the Biden administration cooked the books like crazy.
Oh, it sure did.
So the bottom line is, I would rather wait for accurate reports. The market will adjust.
Yes.
If we go to a quarterly system, as E.J. Antoni is suggesting, the market will adjust to that.
Or even a delayed monthly.
Or, a delay. Yeah. So, but the bottom line is get it right.
Yeah, seriously.
Just get it right. Because if you don't get it right, then you've got room to get it political. That's really what's going on. Okay. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton calling for the arrest of former Congressman Beto O'Rourke, accusing him of illegally raising money for the Democratic lawmakers who fled out of the state of Texas in order to try to stop the redistricting plan. On the Ingram Angle on Fox, Paxton laid out what he's accusing O'Rourke of doing.
He was raising it for personal expenses to help these Democrats in Texas evade their responsibilities. That's the problem. And he was ordered by a judge to stop fundraising. And he said, basically, he just continued to do it.
Okay, so that plan actually did pass the Texas State House of Representatives on Tuesday. The Democratic lawmakers are now returning to Texas. I think some of them have already arrived back in Austin, and the others are on the way back. So their little hissy fit and vacation is apparently over.
Hissy fit vacation.
Yep. Okay. In the city, a plan to put more oversight on the sheriff is closer to being approved. The bill that has passed a committee outlines and clarifies what the sheriff's office can and cannot do, even though that's already covered in the city's charter. It would also require regular financial reports, particularly on spending by the sheriff's office. This is in response to several complaints about actions taken by the current sheriff, Alfred
Loaded Dice
Montgomery, Attorney General Andrew Bailey, trying to remove him from office now.
Let's roll see if he keeps his job.
I'm all for that. All right, the Cardinals lose to the Rockies, evening up that series at 1 game apiece. Final score, Busch Stadium, 3-0. Final game of the series starts this afternoon at 1:15. Redbirds are in 4th place in the division, 15 games behind the division leading Brewers.
You have a soul sewn down, it is no more. And all the ones depart, no destination. Making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. Mike Ferguson. Gabe Phifer. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter.
Brand new year. Tim Jones will tell you about the brand new things happening at The Hideout, famous for the Sunset Patio, 50 big screen TVs, live music and events, a fantastic game room, and of course, the food. The Hideout has a brand new menu featuring their world famous wings, the best handcrafted burgers, new items like the signature Sunset Dip and Dave's Chili, and a second location at Sugar Creek Golf Course in beautiful High Ridge. Experience The Hideout while enjoying a round of golf. Come in for lunch or dinner. The new 2025 Hideout, hideoutsportsbar.com. hideoutsportsbar.com. We'll definitely see you there.
Springtime in St. Louis, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Mr. Rob Miller from Harvesttown Auto Body in St. Peter's did. He called Rhino Shield. Rob, what was the thought process for going with Rhino Shield as a business owner?
My family's business is over 10,000 square feet, and it did not have the curb appeal I wanted.
Rob, tell everyone how the experience was with Rhino Shield from start to finish.
The process that I liked was when you came out, you gave me all these options that would fit my building. Our building was really faded. I don't want to have to paint my building again. 25 years is a long time to not have to worry about the outside maintenance of your building as far as paint. That's a no-brainer. That's why Rhino Shield worked for me.
Are your neighbors jealous?
I would be if I was them.
Thanks, Rob. Now it's time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. Genius.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
I feel like we need to give everybody more of a chance to sound off on this.
Yeah.
We talked about this over an hour ago, and man, the comments were just kept coming.
They
in.
just jumped right into this discussion here. And I want to hear more from everybody else on it too.
Here's the thing is that I have a feeling that this would have even kind of gone under the radar because so many of us have tuned the NFL out.
Oh yeah.
I tuned them out years ago.
Yeah. I've been done for a while.
But yeah, the NFL goes woke again, or woker, I guess you will. And if it weren't for some left-wing LGBT activist response to our response,
right?
I don't think a lot of people would have noticed as much. So what's happened?
Mm-hmm.
And 314-912-1019, if you want to get involved in this, what's happened is the Minnesota Vikings are the latest team to add guys to the cheerleading squad.
Right.
Okay. Well, there's like 6, 7, 8 teams that have this now.
Yeah.
They're pretty much all really effeminate, scrawny. They fit the stereotype. I mean, they fit the stereotype.
Yeah. They're the dance kids.
Yeah. And they're, clearly gay.
Yes.
Okay.
Flamboyantly.
Flamboyantly. Yeah. But the Minnesota guys kind of take it to a whole new level.
I think they do.
Yeah.
There's something to it. Maybe it's just the social media posts that they did that makes it.
I mean,
extra,
they're sashaying around, shaking their hips and their butt, and the one guy's got the flowy feminine haircut and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, he's doing hair flips all over
right.
the place,
I mean, basically, you got boy go-go dancers, essentially what you have here with these guys. Okay, well, I don't watch the NFL, so this doesn't affect me.
No, and even if I did, Vikings aren't my team.
Right, Vikings aren't your team anyway. But here's what's interesting about this is there's a reaction because they're doing their Instagram post or TikTok post, and these guys are sashaying around, and it's not like the guy cheerleaders in college whose job is to be buff and to make sure that the female cheerleaders don't fall to the ground and get hurt.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
that's their job.
Both high school and collegiate cheerleading, as best as I can tell, they emphasize more the tumbling,
right,
and the pyramid structures and the tosses and stuff like that.
It's pretty athletic.
Yeah.
I mean, the females, they're supposed to be pretty. That's part of that's just part of cheerleading. Get mad at me if you want. That's just the reality.
But it feels more like dance gymnastics,
right?
Than in those contexts.
At
Now, at the pro level, it's different.
See, the pro level, it is basically the job of the cheerleaders to provide sex appeal on the sidelines.
They're the rap video / rock video backup dancers.
Yes,
that's their job. It's the same thing.
Their job is to be hot, show as much skin as you can get away with, and be sexy when you're dancing. That's your job.
Yeah.
So the Minnesota Vikings have said, well, these guys can do that too.
Right.
And
and let's eliminate 2 girls from the squad.
Right.
To bring in these dudes.
Okay. So it looks, I mean, it's just kind of gross.
Yeah.
But it's kind of what I expect from the NFL. And I've already tuned them out. But the funny part is that people, particularly many in Minnesota, there are fans who have said, I'm done.
Oh, yeah.
I'm either not buying the season tickets or I'm selling them back to the team. I'm done.
Some of the social media reaction was very as the queer media would call it's homophobic.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah.
Like the one user said, as much as I love the Minnesota Vikings, I will not be supporting them any longer after I found out they have male cheerleader. I'm so done with this woke bull stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
I
wish I never saw this. It's truly heartbreaking. I cannot associate with this mess. Come on, Vikings, be better, do better, stand for something.
And then the reaction from the left and the LGBT activists and things like that is really what's kind of propelled this into the headlines. Because it's saying things like, oh, you right wingers are insecure in your masculinity, because apparently, what's his name? Blaze Chic or what?
Blaze Chic.
That's his stage name, at least.
Yeah.
Blaze Chic with the flowing hair and the hip shake. Apparently that's what we're supposed to accept as masculine.
Yeah. We're just supposed to, it's supposed to appeal to us in the same way as the other cheerleaders.
Right. And we're insecure in our masculinity
because we don't accept it.
If we look at that and go, really?
Yeah.
I mean, and that was the reaction for a lot of people was, really? Guys, this is where you're taking this now? Really?
Yeah. It's basically the furrowed brow and wrinkled nose is like, huh?
Kind of what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's that expression.
Like, really?
It's like, if you're watching us on your smart TV, which you should, because we should be your morning show.
We're your morning TV show.
You should see this expression. Like,
really?
It's was it the Jackie Chan WTF reaction from the old memes? It's like,
what? So here's the thing is, if this guy, and he's got a very feminine haircut, like 80s mean girl haircut. And he was
attempting a Farrah Fawcett.
And so he's sashaying around and dancing around. He's trying to be every bit as feminine as the female cheerleaders.
Absolutely.
And that's the shtick. That's what they're doing. If this guy is your waiter at the steakhouse and he sort of bebops up to you,
I don't notice.
I don't even notice. I don't care.
His tip is going to be the same as anybody else's.
Yeah. Keep my iced tea full. Come get the dirty plate. You just don't care. This right here, basically, they're demanding that we look at him in the same sex appeal manner that you look at the females. And if you don't, then you're insecure in your masculinity.
I would actually probably tip more and be very impressed if they saw shade up with the tray in their hand, spinning and twirling.
It's like, hey, that's a good balance. Good job.
That
might extra couple bucks there. Yeah, absolutely. But on it's a matter of context.
So let's talk about the bigger picture.
Yes, absolutely.
Because
there's some cultural implications here.
Right. Because now for good or for ill, and there are people who have objected to the sexualization and the objectification of these young women who
Sure.
are doing the cheerleading thing. Okay, you want to argue that you shouldn't be
It's too
whatever.
much, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. It's
Valid and defensible argument.
Been that way for decades. But the fact of the matter is, and if you disagree with me, give me a call 314-912-1019. I'll tell you why you're wrong. But the fact of the matter is that NFL cheerleaders are there to show skin and be part of the sex appeal to a predominantly male audience. And the fact of the matter is, even straight women look at attractive women too, in a different way that we
Sure.
guys do. But
It's
they're
appreciation of a
there
different
for-
sort.
They are there to show skin and be sexy. That's their job. They're not ambassadors. That's not about the charity functions they show up. That's not
That's all
about
nice.
the dancing. That's all. They all do that stuff, but their job is to be hot and show skin.
Yes.
That's their job.
Yeah.
For good or for ill. And so the cultural context here is that they're now trying to argue that if we don't accept these guys and look at them as the exact same way,
in the same role,
then we have the problem and we're the ones who are insecure. Essentially, we need to expand our sexuality and the way we look at stuff.
Yeah, that seems to be the argument from the activist LGBTQ types in our commentary world, in our commentary landscape, and you see that at every turn. Remember when one of the arguments was about how it's homophobic or some sort of transphobic to not want to date a trans woman. That
Right.
is,
That was
a man who is
remarkably stupid.
dressing as a woman. It's like, hey, if you're a heterosexual man and you date a trans woman, you're still
heterosexual.
You're still heterosexual because trans women are women. So it's
Yeah.
the same concept of the normal people in the world need
Yeah.
to change our views about sex, sexuality, gender roles, and all that stuff in order to validate our masculinity or femininity or whatsoever. And it doesn't make any sense. When you break it down, none of it actually makes any sense. And I think part of the reaction we're getting from the left to our reaction is a how dare you?
Right.
Because I think we're finally daring to react in the way that we were been naturally reacting the past decade of their ascendancy. I think they got comfortable at pushing their agenda, and we were just kind of rolling our eyes at it. But just like the Dylan Mulvaney thing, it's like we say, okay, bridge too far. I'm going to say something about it.
I'm out.
I'm out. I got to say something about it this time.
Yeah.
And they don't like when we say something about it. That's really what their reaction always is.
Because for how many years were they in charge of the conversation and everybody ran scared of being accused of something? And now we're like, go ahead and accuse us.
Yeah. Call me homophobic, call me trans,
Call me whatever you want.
Yeah. I'll
But
take it.
The idea of and what this one guy, I mean, I don't know which one's which. There's one named Blaze, or he calls himself Blaze, and the other, I forgot what his name is, Luke or something like
Clearly
that.
overshadowed by Blaze's star shining light.
Right. and so, they're both pretty flamboyant, pretty out there.
Yeah.
And we're not saying that they don't have the right to live their life that way, whether
Sure.
I agree or don't agree. That's not the issue. It's you're demanding that I accept it as the same as the hottie next to him.
Right.
And when I go, no, this is really stupid.
It's
This
not
is
the same.
This is cartoonishly stupid. Are you all looking at yourselves in the mirror on this? And they want to have the same indignation and expect us to run scared, going, oh, no, don't accuse me of being discriminatory. We're being discriminatory.
Yes, clearly.
I'm being discriminatory.
I'll take it.
and I'm going to own that, because this is really, really stupid. And it's not about a football game that I'm not going to watch anyway. It's about you demanding that we all reevaluate millennia of basic biology and sexuality.
No, see, and they have such a missed opportunity too, because how cool would it be, even if they are flamboyantly gay and saw showing
Which
out to the
clearly
field,
they are,
if they, instead of doing the female gymnastics, they went out there, one side male cheerleader, the other side male cheerleader, met in the middle, and basically had a stage fight and try to get the crowd hyped up. So whoever's louder, then they start losing. I think that'd be so much cooler than. Come on,
the winner scratched the other's eyes out.
Yeah, So
yeah, dance battles actually would be fun, more fun.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's the context and it's out of place.
It's
These same
definitely
guys
context.
doing the exact same thing. I mentioned it in some gay nightclub in Miami or wherever, in the Grove, wherever. They do that, then okay, well, that's why I don't go to those places.
That's what I expect.
That's your thing. Live your life, do what you want to do.
But it's expected there.
Right.
Not expected here.
This feels like a cultural invasion. And when somebody goes, that doesn't fit, you've got the outrage on the left, and they're trying to laugh at the outrage on the right. There's not an outrage. There's just I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not, this is dumb. I'm telling you it's dumb, and I'm leaving.
Right.
How dare you? You're supposed to be excited about this guy sashaying his hips right in your face. No.
What in the wide world of sports is going on here? The worm dig through the ditches and burn through the witches and slam in the back of my jacket.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Another shot of more intense heat and humidity on the way from Friday into the weekend. But ahead of that, today and Thursday, really not bad by August standards. Mostly sunny today, a near normal high at 88. Spot shower or thunder shower possible. Let's be ready for that. Mostly clear overnight tonight, a low of 70. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny and maybe even a touch less humid, up to 89 for the afternoon high on Thursday. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt.
Commentary.
Democrats suffer from such severe and debilitating Trump derangement syndrome, they will argue to keep D.C. in lawless squalor just to oppose Trump. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hopeful D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser had seen the light. Though she still downplayed the peril in her city, she was at least willing to accept some help from President Trump. But that was Sunday, before she no doubt got the memo from the powers that be at the Trump Derangement Committee that she had to change course and put her own constituents at risk to showboat against Trump. Now the message from the left is, if residents and visitors of D.C. are protected, then democracy is at stake. Or worse, if you're scared, get over it. D.C. has a higher murder rate than many capital cities around the world, but Democrats say our president shouldn't do anything about it because at least it's not as bad as 2023. Wow, that is how little Democrats seem to care about you and your safety. Take note. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Jamie Ullman here with the great Eric Swanson of Newstedter's Fine Jewelers, Dorothy Ferry, and Big Ben. Tell me about Wow Diamonds.
Wow Diamonds. We call them that because when people come in and look at the diamonds, everyone says, wow. We feature those in natural diamonds, the mine diamonds. They're perfectly cut, polished, and proportioned. Not all diamonds come out of the cutting process the same, and ours are perfect. That's why they're called Wow Diamonds.
Newstedter's Fine Jewelers right there at Dorothy Ferry and Big Bend, wowdiamonds.com.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colonies.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Would you like to win a full season of mosquito and tick protection? Tim Jones here, the new Mosquito Nix team in St. Louis, celebrating their launch with a bite-free backyard sweepstakes. One lucky family will get their entire yard protected. 10 others will get a free fogging treatment just for entering. Call 636-698-1980 now to enter. 636-698-1980. Keep your yard safe and your summer itch-free. Service area restrictions do apply. Mosquito Nix offers permanent, automatic mosquito and tick protection. It's not just fogging, it's real coverage you don't have to think about. They've already helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system. Visit MosquitoNix.com to learn more. That's MosquitoNix.com, 636-698-1980 to enter the backyard sweepstakes. Keep your yard safe, your summer bite free, 636-698-1980.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. One of the things that's going to basically enable and fuel human flourishing, especially in our local economies, is what kind of entrepreneurial ecosystem do we have? I'm using that term very, very carefully here and very, very purposely. Basically, it's how easy or how freely are you going to be able to take an idea, bring it to the market, create jobs and prosperity? That's a good way, I think, to look at it. There's actually a new report on the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Now, stay with me on this. That sounds very technical and very academic, but what it means is, do you have more opportunities for success and wealth? We're now joined by Dr. Grant Black from our friends at the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University. So you all were part of this study. We've got a long study, Kaufman-funded study that you were involved with. Tell me kind of the groundwork for this. What were you looking at, and what does it say about the opportunities, particularly here in the St. Louis area?
Yeah, this was a lengthy project. It was over 3 years. It was a great partnership between, the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University. We were partnering with St. Louis Community College's Workforce Solutions Group, and as well Tech STL, which is a key player in the region's ecosystem. Really, the purpose of this was to try to assess experiences of local entrepreneurs and get a sense of the health of the environment that supports them. Most people don't really understand what an entrepreneurial ecosystem is. It's really just the environment. Hey, what kinds of things, whether that's institutions, individuals, organizations, funding, that helps just cause, entrepreneurs and small businesses to thrive.
And so when you look at this, what was identified? Were they current obstacles to entrepreneurialism and entrepreneurship and opportunity? Or was it, here's a better way to do it? Did you look at the obstacles or the opportunities, or did you look at both of them?
Well, it was a mix of all of that. So we in part just wanted to say, hey, what are people experiencing? And what were some good things? What were challenges? And what might this say to us? So this was all done through kind of a mix of things, looking at sort of large scale available data, things that might come from census-based data sources and things like that. We also created a special survey that tried to target entrepreneurs or people in certain sectors in the region, as well as some focus groups, just kind of talking to people on the ground. And so we walked away with, I think, a mix of findings. One was when you look at startups, and we're going to define startups as ones that are identified as first hiring employees. So not just, somebody kind of running their own thing and it's just them, kind of a solo shop. They've seen really great growth in 2024 of about 50% after we had seen a decline in 2023. Well, that led to those businesses seeing about a 34% increase in job creation, in that recent year. Those findings really help us see that small businesses are responsible for a lot of the net gain in new jobs in our region, especially in healthcare and social assistance and professional and business services. When we looked at our small businesses and entrepreneurs that we surveyed, we were able to survey around not quite 120 of them. They're doing generally well. Almost 70% had seen revenues hold steady or increase in the past 2 years. And 81% were optimistic that they would see their revenues rise in the coming 2 years. At the same time, here's where some of the challenges come in. Many of the entrepreneurs did perceive challenges to starting their businesses or running their businesses. Minority business owners, for example, were more likely to cite access to funds, cost of funds, customer payment issues, and lack of training as challenges that were, hindering their abilities to succeed.
Producer Jerome chiming in. Thank you so much for joining us today. So keeping on that trend real quick, I'm a millennial, and I know people my age and younger that want to get into that entrepreneurial spirit and start some sort of business. Oftentimes it seems very intimidating with how much competition is out there. What are some of the market trends that you could recommend we look out for when taking into consideration starting our own business?
Well, that's all over the place. This is the challenge of markets, right?
Yep.
And sort of free markets. You weed through, lots of people can start things and create, businesses and have ideas, and they just don't survive. Some ways we call this creative destruction. Something better comes along. There's somebody who can better provide your service than perhaps you could. And that's all okay. This is how we kind of learn and grow through, even when it feels challenging. So, in the midst of, us seeing lots of growth, lots of new businesses developing and expanding, that's really a key. There are high growth sectors. A lot of them can be tech oriented. A lot of these professional and business services is where we see a lot of these entrepreneurs operating in, outside of just the sort of traditional things, kind of mom and pop shops and things like that. So I think there's a wide range of areas. I think if you can get in on tech sectors or how to, employ these are sort of longer term, high growth sectors that we're really trying to foster here in the region. Part of this too, I think some people feel these obstacles like, hey, it's kind of hard to get into this. I think a big finding that was encouraging, but also kind of connected to some challenges as well. 90% of the businesses and entrepreneurs we surveyed had financed their startups with their own personal funds of some kind. That may have been personal savings, some other kind of personal assets, personal credit cards. And most of them started their businesses with not a lot of money. 73% of our respondents started their businesses with less than $25,000. And about half of them did it with less than $5,000. Now, that's a good sign because I think it says, hey, there's lots of opportunity for people to kind of get out there. At the same time, it can also be a signal people may have been struggling to find, sort of external funding sources that we have kind of seen dry up a bit. On the downside of the study, when trying to get an assessment of the entrepreneurial ecosystem, this environment that can help support these entrepreneurs, it's changed a lot in the past 5 years. We've had both opportunities and growth there, but we're also seeing some instability. We had a loss of about 46% of the region's startup resources in that 5-year period. Obviously, there can be lots of churns, different organizations or things change focus and, that kind of thing. But it's definitely telling us there's been some shift. There's less venture capital funding available. It may have become more strategic or harder to get funds than it was in the past. We've seen closure of some, institutions or organizations that were helping support these. Even though we've seen expansion as well, we've seen a lot of kind of churn. And so the ecosystem's looking different in the St. Louis region than it did several years ago. And I think then as we think about policymakers, key players in the region, this should be a wake-up call, hey, to help St. Louis continue to be a thriving place of opportunity for entrepreneurs and small business development. we need to think about the kind of institutions, the kind of support that are needed.
Okay, so Grant, I've just got a couple minutes left here before we remind everybody about the Steve Forbes event coming up here. Okay, so what are the things that we should be doing better in St. Louis if we want to encourage more risk-taking and entrepreneurialism, if we want to provide an environment where they can thrive and hire and grow and improve the local economy? What are maybe just one or two things that we need to do better here, whether it's government or just in the marketplace itself?
Yeah, I think one thing is probably the number one business resource need is early stage business funding. And trying to offer, if we could create more funding opportunities, even sort of low interest micro loans, things that might be under $50,000 or even way less, is something big. I think trying to remove any barriers that might be hindering certain segments of the population that could be being held back, where there's might be differences in access to funds or different costs to funds, making sure there's sufficient training and mentoring available for, entrepreneur wannabes to help get them launched and kind of on the right track. I think those are some big takeaways. So, one final thing we saw was the impact of AI. More than 70% of our businesses that we looked at were being impacted already by AI. They were seeing it transforming their business models, product services, funding options, yet only 9% of them thought there was adequate, or I'll say widely available, training or support related to AI in our region. So the vast majority felt like, hey, we're missing something. We don't feel equipped or prepared, with enough knowledge, support, and help dealing with these sort of tech trends that are affecting us. So I think that's another area where we could see growth in trying to provide better support in a really changing environment.
Okay, so we've got coming up here, Steve Forbes coming to St. Louis, coming to Lindenwood University in St. Charles. This is what you're bringing with Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise. I'm trying to remind people, the tickets are free, but you got to have one to get in. What can we look forward to when we hear from Steve Forbes? I'm definitely going to be there. So I've just put the link on the Rumble chat box where people can get their reserve their free tickets. But what can we look forward to? Because somebody may say, well, I'm not an economist. This isn't for me, but this really is for everybody in the marketplace, everybody who values the what free markets can do for us.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think one of the things, even coming out of this study, is the role that, the private sector can really play in impacting, our region and our communities. And so I think Steve Forbes is going to come looking at, hey, what's the importance of free enterprise? What's the importance of entrepreneurship in our economy? And how has it played a role? How do I think it's going to shape, the future and the positive impact it can have and what that might mean and how we can help foster that? I think that's what he's going to bring. And I think that's a message everybody needs to hear. So, bring friends, bring family members, bring neighbors that you think this could be an important message to kind of hear a little bit about. It's Thursday, September 18th. It starts at 7 p.m. It's going to be at the Scheidegger Center for the Arts at Lindenwood. You can get tickets. They're completely free. So this is open and easily accessible for everybody, but you can reserve them at the Lindenwood box office. For the link to that, you can go to hammondinstitute.org, or obviously you can drop on, you guys are posting at the News Talk,
yep.
And all of your places. So you can easily find info on how to do this. There are a lot of people already registered to come, so make sure you get your spot and get, access to seats. There's still plenty of seats available, but, they're steadily going. And so we would love to see everybody there. You can definitely submit questions. We're going to try to have a Q&A with him where people can, hear a little bit of his response to their thoughts.
All right, Grant Black from the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University. Appreciate the update, and I'm looking forward to the Steve Forbes event in a big, big way. So thanks for being on.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, and I just put that link up on the Rumble chat box as well. Remember, you got to have a ticket to get in, but the tickets are absolutely free. But they are going at a little faster clip than we expected. So make sure you reserve your spot. If you've already got your tickets, fantastic. You're good. Put it on your calendar. make sure you plan to come see us because we're going to be there. So I'd love to say hi and meet you. I'll be roaming around there myself. So let's do that and see you next month on that.
Hey, it's Vic Porcelli here with our great friend Chris Cooper from Serenity Wealth Management. Hi, Chris.
How are you, Vic?
I don't want to put anybody else down, but that when you go up and visit you at Serenity Wealth, your place looks like home.
So a lot of financial advisory offices, they have, the big mahogany desk or the big marble entryways and things like that. The stock market channel on the TV when you walk in the door, right? That doesn't really drive a good conversation. Good financial guidance and advice starts with a good conversation. People are nervous. People are afraid to talk about finances, right? And so you can see a little standoffish. Well, my objective is to try to have a good casual conversation. By having those conversations about life, goals, objectives, it's what makes me understand what our financials are supposed to fund.
So if somebody does want to have a good conversation, how do they do that? How do they find you?
Our website is the best way to do that because you can get all the information you need, understand where we are, get a little bit more information, all that. SerenityWealthNow.com.
Reach out to Chris and Stacy today at SerenityWealthNow.com.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Our very own Tim Jones, former Speaker of the House, is in Israel right now, and we will talk to him Wednesday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
All right, we've been covering this. The new law in Illinois that mandates mental health screenings for most public school kids in the state.
Yeah.
So many problems with this. We've warned you about it. It's now the law. As you're sending your kids or your grandkids back to school because it's back to school season, you need to know how to deal with this. So Matt Walsh actually caught wind of this and did a commentary. He grabbed a local news report to put in there as part of his commentary. But now the country, at least the conservative side of things, is talking about this. So here's Matt Walsh with some commentary using a clip from J.B. Pritzker himself. And then let's launch into what do you do about it? Because I've got the answer for that as well.
The state of Illinois is now demanding that children beginning in the 3rd grade in public school undergo annual psychiatric evaluations.
At a time when our kids are struggling with anxiety and depression more than ever before, it's our responsibility to ensure that young people have all the support that they need to get the help that they deserve.
The new law will require public schools to offer age-appropriate screenings to identify mental health concerns in students in the 3rd through 12th grades.
The point of these annual screenings is to ensure that they drug as many children as possible with psychoactive medications so that those children become loyal customers of Big Pharma for life. And of course, they'll also become profoundly unhappy people, which accounts for roughly 100% of the Democrats' voter base. So it's a win-win for politicians like J.B. Pritzker and for Big Pharma. And it's a lose-lose for you and for your children.
Okay, so real quick, before we get to the implications, to follow up on Matt Walsh's commentary right there, at Awake Illinois' website, we've talked to Shannon Adcock here on the program a number of times. They actually have on their website a link to the forms that you need to opt your kids out. Because here's the thing. If you do not proactively go tell the school district, no, you will not do this, because what they're talking about doing is pulling every single kid from the 3rd grade on up aside for one of these evaluations in private, in an office with a so-called mental health professional. If you do not want them to do that, and I don't know why anybody in their right mind would allow the public school system to do this to your kid, but go to Awake Illinois' website, just Google search them. You can find them real easy. They've got the forms, print them out, fill them out, take them and hand deliver them to the front office in your school so that they know to not do this to your kid.
Yeah, it would be one thing entirely if it was something where you noticed performance or behavioral things and you said, hey, I would like for some sort of counseling or something from the school to help them get on the right track. But when you're talking about psychiatric stuff, you're talking about that's medication.
Or psychological, even if they,
and with quote unquote mental ill issues, because a lot of them at the youth age are more behavioral things, but that is when you start to get a lot of false diagnoses and misdiagnoses. And once you get into that territory, you can really mess somebody up for the rest of their life.
Well, not to mention that, especially in deep blue states where things are run by radical leftists and then the education establishment, especially in states like Illinois, California, places like that, they're run by very radical activists. Part of the purpose of this is to look for activism, look for indoctrination, look for any sort of gender confusion. I'll say it. I'll accuse them of looking for opportunities to plant it so that they can affirm it and add to the agenda and add to the mission. And that's going to happen. So you've got to protect your children from the public school system. It's bad enough to have to worry just about the curriculum that's in the schools. You got to keep an eye on that. But this is literally taking every child individually out and doing one of these diagnostic analyses on each kid, even if there are 0 symptoms that would indicate they need it. This is bastardizing the entire concept of mental health awareness.
Absolutely. And right, in line with what you were just talking about with tracking indoctrination is, what if this is the method that they want to use to make sure that that is actually working, that they're regurgitating what they're being fed and it's just, once you get into the high school territory, that's when things start to manifest and become what's called onset. That's when certain mental illnesses and issues come up. 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, that's way too young to be messing with the psychology of somebody.
Kids are just dumb kids sometimes.
Yes.
Kids are just, you could, if you tried to put an adult diagnosis based on the standards of adult behavior for somebody who's in 3rd grade, well, guess what? All 3rd graders are wildlings. They're supposed to be at that age.
You're making them sit at a desk all day. They don't want to be there. They want to be running around chasing bugs.
So parents or grandparents, know what you can do. You have the right, but they are assuming if they don't hear from you that they can do this to your kid until you tell them otherwise. It's immoral. It's wrong, but you have to advocate for your kid and protect your kid. So look up Awake Illinois' website. You'll find the forms on there.
Located in the heart of